This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Djuma in South Africa, where it is a very nice 21 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And, well, we went in search of tracks of this young gentleman. We left him not far away last night, and, well, he started coming jogging down the road directly towards us. Good morning, that's Hukumuri. And, well, my name is Steve. Welcome to the show, and I'm joined by BK on camera. Please, if you have any questions, comments, then send them to #SafariLive or drop them in on the YouTube chat stream. Where's he gone? He's just next to us right over here. How awesome is this? What a start to the morning. Well, now I'm going to have to turn around because now he's gone behind us. But he was running. I'm not sure what has happened. Then he ran up to a branch, and then he started rubbing his head against the branch. And maybe his calls have invoked the interests of another leopard, namely Tingana. Okay, he might even be on the search for some food. Oh, I'm showing you the worst turning circle in the world right now. Here it goes. Whoa. Whoa, that was a bit higher than I thought it would be. I do apologize, BK, if he nearly fell off. Here he goes. He's just in front of us on the road. Joe, he is a handsome devil, isn't he? He's just up here, BK. Joe, I'm pretty sure Joe was talking about Hukumuri there, not me, Emma. I'm pretty sure, unless Joe is secretly telling me I was a handsome devil, which he'd be 100% correct in saying. Well, all I can say is both BK and myself are excited this morning to be out, and we are both full of beans. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning, and what a way to start. And now Hukumuri is walking directly on a road which takes us to the open area of quarantine, where we had a few lazy impala just now as we came out of camp. And, well, it definitely seems as if he is not or has not eaten in the night, because we saw him not far from where we found him now last night, and I was looking for some tracks, and BK said, here he comes, and he was jogging towards us. I think he thought we were starting a minute earlier than we did, but then, you know, leopard time is always a little bit quicker than our time, is it not? Oh, there he is. I'm going to see if I can get around him. There's a nice open sort of area here. Well, almost. There will be in a moment, but for now, what we can do is just drive slowly behind him. And I will scan every now and again with the light. If there's any animals coming up ahead, we will switch off completely, because we are in the infrared to be able to view this animal without any influence to him or to any of his prey that he might be hunting. BK, you've still got a head torch on, by the way. Hello, Nancy. You obviously weren't watching the show last night. We found him last night, and we followed him for a very long time as he bounded through all the thickets, and it really took us on a bit of a wild goose chase. Right, okay, there we go. He's going off the road now. But he was calling and scent marking last night, which was very interesting, because when you call, you are declaring an immediate occupation of an area. Immediate. When you scent marking, that other leopard needs to come to that area to smell what you've left behind. He's going to scent mark now, or go onto the termite mound there, BK. Or he's going to go around the termite mound. Okay. He loves his termite mounds, doesn't he? But when he calls, he's telling Tingana, I am here, Duke of Djuma. I am here and I am ready for you. Standing by Trist. MGN, you think he's a slow walker? Tristan is just talking to me at the moment. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, just we're on the western road to quarantine. He came running down Voyatela access directly towards us, so I'm not sure if he was on Gallagher. Okay, so Tristan has found some male leopard tracks on Gallagher. It's a very good chance Hukumuri went to go and drink at the pan there, but it's also possible that Tingana is in the area. I'm just going to talk to Trist again. Yeah, just he was running towards us, so maybe Tingana's in the area as well. We don't know. Maybe good, worthwhile following up on those tracks if you have a chance. So if Tingana comes into the area, it would be really awesome to see some interaction. Something we've been trying to see, or we've been talking about for months, about a year now, in fact. He materialized in February last year for the TV show, the Binge series, and since then, there's always been talk of him coming in and taking the dukedom from Tingana and the threats to all of the other individuals, namely Hosana and the Princess Tlalamba, who I know Tristan was going to go see if he could follow up on this morning. But for now, she is in a safe place. I'm just going to get around him over here. There's a little bit of a gap. Okay, well, while I just get around him here, try to get a nice look at his face, let's go over to Tristan, who's not far away, just on the Galago shortcut over here, following up on some other male leopard tracks.
Well, we are doing well, I suppose, this morning. It's exciting stuff that Steve has already found Hukumuri, and there's tracks here for a male leopard that's coming straight down out of Buffel's Hook down Galago shortcut, and whether that's for him or Tingana, I'm not really sure. They don't look like massive male leopard tracks, but they definitely are for a male, and I thought maybe I saw a female track in here as well, so we're going to have a proper look and just see how everything goes. But as Steve mentioned, my name's Tristan. On camera I've got Sebastian this morning. We're not in the afternoon, no, it's still dark and it's still early morning, but anyway, we're going to try and just have a little look around. It's obviously quite tricky at this time of the night to be able to, and I say night because it really is still very dark, to be able to figure out where these go. I mean, they don't go all the way down to Vuyatela access. They certainly kind of cut off at some point here, so could be Tingana. And I know Steve had tracks for a male leopard going north into Buffel's Hook 2 days ago, and so this could very well be Tingana now coming back, and that maybe explains why Hukumuri is running around. It could very well be, but let's just scratch around a little bit and just see. Maybe we'll get lucky somewhere here. We picked up the tracks not far from here for the first time, and then I lost them. Well, I mean, I didn't see them kind of further south, lots of hyena tracks, but just trying to see if it's one or two, because there's quite a few tracks that are here, and unfortunately on the wrong side of the road. Shikat, did Hosana leave the last time Hukumuri was around? Look, it's not that he left. I mean, I suppose he went to Londolozi, but that was long after Hukumuri arrived, and, you know, Hukumuri has since come in and out as well. So, I mean, I don't know if it's that's caused him to leave. It might be a combination of Hukumuri, this other male leopard that keeps getting seen in the south. It could be, you know, either or. But no, it's just one male leopard, and it's early last night. There's a civet that's walked on top of these tracks, and they come straight out of Buffel's Hook, which means, I mean, I don't think these would be for... I'm just trying to think if Hukumuri could have come all the way around and down. I'm not sure. These tracks, it's tricky. It could be his tracks, because they would make sense if he came out onto Vuyatela access. Anyway, talking about Hukumuri, let's send you back across to him. We're going to have a little scan around, and hopefully we'll find why he's running, well, the reason why he's been running.
Welcome back. Here he is, just walking past our car. He just clumsily tried to tackle a scrub hare, but he didn't do it with too much in the way of good leopard skill, I must be honest with you. The scrub hare evaded him easily. He suddenly started stalking, and we weren't sure what it was, so we moved around, and then there he suddenly raced off at a scrub hare, and all we saw was this white tail bounding away. Well, here he is on our right-hand side. He's just done a massive scent marking in this bush over here. And now this is a road, folks, that Tingana has spent a lot of time on. The last few times I found Tingana was actually on this road. His tracks up and down, or he's just been hanging around on this road. And so Hukumuri is going to every single tree that the Duke has possibly touched, and he is doing exactly the same. So now I get in front of him. I'm not blocking his way. I'm parking on the side of the road, giving him plenty of room to walk. And here he comes. Look at his face. His tongue sometimes hanging out, not right now. Hello, Lauren. As far east as Hukumuri's been, the furthest east I've seen him is around sort of Vuyatela Pan and the Moati drainage. I remember last year when our Safari Lives sort of episode started, we had Hukumuri sort of dividing the line. Tingana and Hukumuri dividing the line. The Moati drainage system seemed to, in my opinion, be this sort of barrier between the two. I remember him coming to Voyatela Dam itself and stealing, I think it was a bushbuck kill, it might have been a Nyala kill, I can't remember, from Tingana. And then we had him in that drainage just behind Voyatela Pan. That's as far east as I am aware of him going during my time here. So he does enjoy the west. He spent a lot of time in the west, and there is a huge void on the western side, not as far as he's come now, because Tingana is often in this area, but definitely, as like with Shadulu, there is space in the west here for predators, for leopards, should I say, and both Hukudulu or Shadulu and Hukumuri with some cubs would be wonderful if they could move in here. And if he does sediment a bit of a spot in this area, it might encourage Shadulu to move a little bit further in with the protection of potentially the father of her cubs, the Hukudulus, everybody has affectionately named them. He's got such an interesting face. He's such a characteristic leopard. He's probably the most identifiable leopard I've ever come across. When we saw him yesterday, we just knew it was him. He's got these yellow eyes, these very interesting eyes. Firefly, you want to know about Husana's confrontation with Hukumuri and possibly with Tingana's interaction? Well, you know, I think we got some footage of Hukumuri chasing Husana. I don't think he caught him, but Husana definitely made a quick escape. I think if Hukumuri caught him, he'd give him a proper little beating. I don't know if he'd try to kill him, but you never know with leopards. You know, if you run away, if a male leopard runs away from another male and he catches him, he could potentially hurt him quite badly. But I think Husana still biding his time. Ooh, what have you spotted there, boy? He definitely looks like he's got his head up now. Definitely looks like he's got his head up. Now, we were talking earlier about how someone said he's walking very slowly. He's actually walking quite quickly. This is the sort of medium-paced gait that a leopard can use to cover huge distance in their marking of territory. The purpose of them using roads, MGN, you said that. The purpose of them using roads, you can see he can walk very quietly with little effort along the road, which means he can stalk, he can cover vast distances. I think there might be a scrub hare. Yes, there's a scrub hare in the road ahead of him there, BK, probably about 20 meters in front of him. We're just going to stay right here. You can just see the eyes on the left there. There's two scrub hares. He's walking straight towards them. You see, he's not really doing a very good effort of trying to stalk them, is he? No. No, he's not. That was poor form, boy. I think he wants something a bit more substantial than a scrub hare. We do know that this area is normally littered with impala, so maybe that's what he's looking for. We've also got Nyala hiding in the thickets, and then every now and again, there's a couple of warthogs on quarantine. We saw some last night. We do know that Hukumuri enjoys his warthogs. Sean, he's definitely interested in food. He's marking territory as he moves. He's not stalking very, very well. I mean, leopards are opportunistic, so we don't know what's happened in the night. We don't know how many times he's tried to hunt. We saw him last night. We followed him for about an hour and a half, and he was constantly checking every single hole and burrow he could possibly come across. And while doing that, if he found a warthog, I think he might have hunted it. But he was also scent marking and actually calling the entire time. Well, not the entire time, but he called. I think we got him 3 times calling. So he's definitely covering distance. I don't know what his intentions are. He's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Scent marking, moving into an area that maybe he's going to conflict with Tingana. Maybe they had some interaction last night, because the tracks Tristan has found on sort of Gallagher don't come as far down as where we've been. Sorry about my head. Sorry about that. So it's possible. I mean, the purpose of leopards calling, not only to advertise their direct sort of presence, they will also call because by calling, you're allowing the other leopard to buffer themselves from you. If they want to come and fight you, they know exactly where you are. But by calling, the other leopard knows where you are, and so you can kind of avoid each other, because leopards don't want to fight. Every single time they interact with each other, if they fought, well, they would lead to some serious injury, and he wouldn't be able to walk the way he's walking now and hunt and territorially mark and all that if he fought every single male leopard he came across. So by calling, you're advertising dominance, you're advertising strength, and I am sure leopards can hear in their own voices how strong or how sort of physically fit an individual might be. I'm just going to try and reposition the car in a way so that we can actually get a nice frontal shot of him coming down. The impala that are normally all over the place here have just vanished today. They're on the other side of quarantine, I think. Sherry, here we go, is about to scent mark. You can't imagine being so close. Here we go, rubbing the head and then spraying as he goes. There we go. Morning, boy. He's just got those eyes. I know we're not in colour at the moment, but as soon as we go into colour, you'll all see the eyes that he's got here. He is such a funny chap. Very good. Okay, well, he's doing a very good job for us now. He's running again. He did a little jog there. I think maybe he saw another scrub here. There's a little two-track here that Tingana is often found on. We're close to the bush braai site, which is just up here. We know we found Hosanna on that. He's going to go directly down this two-track over here. And we'll just keep following him. This is the drainage line that he had that really interesting activity last year when Ralph found him. Well, I think I followed him from Vuetela down here, and he had an impala kill, and then Ralph found him the next day. You all remember Ralph? And he found him the next morning with really awesome hyena interaction as he ran up onto a tree. He jumped onto a branch. I'm just going to stop here because he's coming right past this gap here. And he jumped onto the tree, and I remember actually seeing the hyena when the hyenas nipped him on the tail. Hello, boy. Are you claiming this spot for yourself, are you? This is what happens, folks. You know, new leopards move in. Bigger, stronger, younger leopards, they move in. I don't know if he's bigger than Tingana. He's definitely very stocky, but Tingana's a very big leopard. He's lost a lot of size even in the time I've been here, but he's kind of getting to the end of his days, as we all know. And new blood is always important in these areas. New blood in the form of other male leopards and female leopards to sort of revitalize the line. So this is all part and parcel of what happens. We just obviously don't want any negative interactions with the Princess Tlalamba, who is, for the moment, very, very safe in the east. She's quite far away from here. But this whole western side of Djuma really, for the last probably 8 months or so, has really lain quite dormant with regards to leopard activity, with Shadulu being mainly in the west. Daniel, he is definitely claiming his hood, this guy. He is claiming it. He's claiming it with scent marking. But it's interesting he hasn't called this morning. If he had had some interaction with a male leopard last night, namely Tingana, and it had been a successful one, I think he'd probably be salivating to the point of excess. He's normally salivating anyway, this guy. But he would be salivating, and he'd probably be calling to be like, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it, it's mine. To sort of announce to the male who he may be dispatched or beat or whatever it might have been, that he is here to stay. There we go, he's going to do it again. Another bit of a scent mark spray. Rubbing his face in there. We all know cats love to rub their faces into things, marking their territory in their houses, marking our feet when they walk around. I always love it when they do the same thing and they do it against a curtain and they fall on their bottom. Lisa, you want to know if the leopards get any pressure from the west from other individuals such as lions? Well, lions are a big threat to leopards. Obviously, they don't share they don't compete for territories. There's a food competition, of course, and lions, if they catch a leopard, will kill it. They will definitely kill it, not necessarily to eat. Let's smell the cheese Doritos now. Oh, it's my favourite. One of my. Everybody thinks I'm mad when I say one of my favourite smells in the world is leopard urine. But if a lion catches a pride lion or an individual lion catches a leopard, they're just far bigger, far stronger. They will smash, kill, and maybe even eat a predator. But they're not necessarily killing them to eat them. It's competition. It's ingrained in them. They know I must kill this. This is competition for me. So yes, lions are probably the biggest threat to leopards. Male leopards don't really have too much other conflicts apart from other males. Females don't offer any sort of difficulty towards a male leopard. Oh no, are you going to go down there? Oh no. Well, he's going into a very difficult area. This is exactly the area Ralph had him with that kill with the hyenas down there. And if he does go in here, we're going to have to really work quite hard to try and get through. We might be able to go around. Yes, stopping. Have you spotted something, boy? No. Okay, well, while we try to navigate this drainage line, let's go back over to Tristan and see how he's getting along.
Well, good luck, Steve. Navigating that drainage line is never a fun experience, but can be done with a bit of concentration. Now, we didn't follow those leopard tracks just purely because they looked as though they could be hukamuris, and so we left them there. But what we are on now is the tracks for the Nkuhuma Pride, by the looks of things. But I've lost them very briefly. Well, not long ago, we lost the tracks, so I just want to go... The light is so poor that I don't really want to drive around too much without checking. Let's just carry on central a little bit and just double check. Gallego Pan might be a good place for us to go and have a little look, because the last tracks were south of the link that goes to Gallego Pan. General direction was south, but Julie, no. I mean, Hukamuri does have a longer toe, but Hassan has also got quite a big toe on his track. Just given where it's walked and kind of how the sort of size and the loop that could have taken place. I mean, Hukamuri was left very much kind of on the western side of Djuma, and what he could have done is just gone a little bit of a loop up north into Buffelshoek and then come back south again. And given where Steve's found him and where those tracks are and the way that those tracks kind of cut off the road, it tends to suggest to me that that's where you know he ended up coming from. But I mean, it could be wrong. It could be very, very wrong, and it could very well mean that Tingana is also around. But I don't know. I just think that they're too close together. Unless, of course, if there was Tingana there, you would have thought that there would have been a lot more vocalizing and a lot more noise made. There's a track for a leopard going here. There's just tracks everywhere. There's a very busy night, Seb. It seems like there was a party on Djuma, but there's tracks for a leopard now going south here as well, for a male leopard. So maybe it was Tingana. Did anyone see a leopard on the dam cam? Because this leopard has come right from the dam, which is quite interesting, just mobile straight down the road at the moment. So I don't know if Hukamuri was to this side. I doubt it, though. But apparently no leopard on the dam cam, just a hyena. Well, there's most definitely leopard tracks coming right past where the dam, or from the dam itself, so maybe kind of sneaked across without anyone really knowing that he was there. That can happen with leopards. They do these things sometimes. Maybe he was in disguise. You're right, Emma. Now, I'm not going to follow the leopard tracks just yet. We'll come back to these just now. I know it's a shock. I hear you, but we do have a TV show today, and so I'd like to find the lions, because I know that they'll go stationary much quicker than a leopard will. And so it'll be easier to kind of go and look for them than it will be to, well, not easier, but I mean, it's more guaranteed for this afternoon than to look for a male leopard that's moving around. Male leopard also cuts off. Now, where did these lions go? The lions are the ones that are intriguing. They walked all the way down the road and their tracks were very fresh. We could see where they were lying. Mike, you say tracking seems to get hard sometimes. Well, it's not exactly easy. I mean, you must remember that we're dealing with almost no light at the moment, so seeing tracks in this light is very, very difficult. In fact, almost impossible at this stage. So it's hard. You also got long grass at the moment. So once they walk off the road, it's very difficult to see where their tracks went. Lauren, you say maybe Tingana leopard crawled past the dam cam? Well, it wouldn't surprise me. He can be sneaky when he wants to be. Maybe he went behind the dam wall, and that's why no one really saw him. Sometimes the leopards do cross behind the dam wall and move around, but certainly a lot of leopard activity, and obviously the lions are around. So lots going on. So lots of hyena tracks all over the place too. Okay, Seb, these lions have not come this way. These are all hyenas that have walked up and down here, which means that they must have gone towards Gallagher Pan. So let's turn around and go back that way. I also have now got enough light that I can get off on foot and actually double check where the tracks went, which will be able to help us find them quite quickly, hopefully. Like I say, the tracks were fresh. Where we found where they were lying down on the road, they were kind of on top of everything, so on top of the hippos and those kind of things, which will help us. So I don't think they're too far away. I'm just trying to listen to the radio. Also, Herbie and James are going to be out on foot, so they will be asked to deploy as well. When I get hold of Herbie and ask him to just double check, because they're going to go head towards where Tlalamba was, like we originally wanted to do. But I just want to try and talk to them, but the guys are just talking so much that at some point we'll get a word in edgeways and be able to actually talk to them properly. Now, Steve's talking, Rexon's talking, Herbie's talking. At some point, there will be a gap for us to speak. Herbie, there we go. We found one. Yeah, Herbie, there's tracks for another male leopard here on Central Road going straight east from the dam. I don't know if you want to get onto these tracks. So we'll get Herbie onto these. If you come from the dam wall onto Central, you'll find them on the road here, heading east. Right, now also, Emma, Seb wants me to tell you, apparently, Seb is bossing me around here. He says that I must tell you that you must switch to color mode, because he's going to get out of his infrared now that it's this time of the day. So, and just so you know, Seb will be going into color very shortly. Right, she's ready and waiting, Sebastian, and there we go. Well done, Sebastian. That was a very, very efficient changeover. Hopefully much better, I agree. Now I can also... I was looking green on this side. Green and washed. Exactly. So on our side, our infrared looks green on our monitors, and Seb was saying I was looking washed out and green, which I don't think is ever a way you want to look as a human. I certainly wouldn't want to be washed out and green in my life, and so I'm quite glad that I'm no out and green. Deals for anyone except frogs. Well done, Emma. What about lizards, Emma? They also are sometimes washed out in green, aren't they? We've got to wait 10 seconds because we have this incredible delay that makes life so much more entertaining. Making some valid points, apparently. I know, Emma, as are you. It's a valid point team this morning. All right, so this is where we lost the track, somewhere here. Now I need to check and concentrate very carefully. The problem is the light is just getting worse and worse for tracking. Okay, so there was an Ellie bull that was here that smells quite bad, so he must have been in muss, which is maybe why the lions decided to turn from where they were walking. Which way would they have gone? Can you smell him, Seb? It is an Ellie bull in muss smell. Right. Okay, well, I'm going to try and find where these lions went. They're somewhere here. I don't think they're far away at all. And so while I have a look, let's send you across to Mr. Henry, who is, well, I suppose more exciting than lions in many respects for a lot of you, so he can say hello.
Sunday is supposed to be the day of rest, so I'm resting. Next to a Wolferia bush, on which I was hoping to find 1 or 2 insects, but no self-respecting insect is up this time of the day on a Sunday morning. Good morning to you all. We're on bushwalk today, in case you hadn't realised. David is on camera. Hello, David. We've got our white armbands on, so we aren't shot as poachers, which is always important. One doesn't want to be shot on a Sunday. I don't think one wants to be shot on any day, actually. I think being shot sounds like a terrible idea on any day or at any time. Please do talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on tweet. You may send us your questions and comments, and as I say to the SABC audience on Sunday evenings, you may send us your insults as well. Many of you do that already unprompted, so thank you for that, for those. Okay, our plan today is to get up off the ground, do some work, and we're going to follow the tracks, the male leopard tracks that Tristan's got going away from the pan. Now, interestingly, that pan, which had a hippo at it last night, which is also quite interesting, apart from that, interestingly, of course, the hook is in town. He has been shouting and marking his territory, and those male leopard tracks could be Tingana. They are heading away from where Hukumuri is shouting. They could also be Hosana. He was spotted crossing north out of Londolozi into Arathusa 2 days ago. And so I don't think he's actually at Londo's anymore, unless he's turned on and gone back again, which he might have. So maybe he's come back for a little while. I don't want to get all your hopes up. I know many of you now are fanning yourselves with an overwhelming sense of relief that Hosana might be back, but he might not. So I can't tell you whether it is in fact the case or not. So that's our plan today. Well, welcome along for the ride, basically. You are going to see a little bit of infrastructure at the moment because we are going past the back of the camp. So if you do see a bit of infrastructure, I do apologise for that. No, David, you've managed to avoid it, have you? Well, that's quite something. It's very skillful, is our David. We've got Herbert and Paulie as well with us, as well as a member of the production crew who's decided to join us on walk, dressed like a gangster. All right, we're going to get through this little area, try and pick up on the
Well, thank you, Tristan and James. We have lost him in the drainage here. This is exactly where Ralph had him last year with those hyena on that branch just back there. He came in. We saw a tawny eagle fly up and fly out, which means there might have been some meat there. As I said, leopards are very opportunistic and they will scavenge meat if they can find some. But it's possible he also just crossed through and maybe the tawny eagle was resting and he surprised it. But if he's not in here, he's on the other side. So we're going to come out, go around onto the next road, see if maybe he's come through there. I'm just going to have one more little look over here. See if I can spot some spots. It's a very difficult area to follow a leopard in. Janice, he did look like he's having a little bit of a limp yesterday, but I mean, I've always noticed Hukumuri's got a little bit of an interesting sort of swagger to him. I thought about it for a moment, and then I just sort of played it off as nothing really, but I'll have another look. We did spend a lot of time with him there. It's definitely, I think it's just a swag, you know, it's that like dominance, like, here I come, ladies, here I come. BK knows that swag, eh, BK? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can get around here. We don't want to lose him. We found him so easily. Now he's going to put us through our paces trying to find him again. Cheeky boy. All right, we'll do our best, folks. We'll do our best to keep up with him. If we get on the other side of this drainage, it's possible that he's maybe just crossed on to the other side. Let's get through here. Yeah, you might be going out onto the other side. See, there's the... Is that a tawny eagle? Wahlberg's eagle. Kermie, you want to know how much... Oh, there we go. Kermie, you want to know how much area a leopard can cover in a day? It really depends on their hunger and if it's rained, perhaps, because when it rains, that's a Wahlberg's eagle. When it rains, I'm going to keep going, BK. We've got some work to do here. When it rains, they need to rescent mark. So they can go many kilometers, 15, 20 kilometers. It really depends if they're hungry, if they're not hungry. And if they've got a kill, they'll just stay right where they are. So each day is dependent on what's going on really in their day-to-day life. And when Tingana was injured, he didn't go very far at all. At Hukumuri, we don't know how far he's come from, but I mean, I know we did follow him for quite some time yesterday. Okay. Hukumuri, Puma indeed. Hukumuri is the first leopard of the day, and well, hopefully we can stay with him because he is a very cool cat. He's a very, very cool cat. We love spending time with him. All we need him to do is to catch some food, and then we'll be able to spend some time with him. See him catching an impala or a warthog. Whoopsie, a little bit bumpy here, BK. Hold on, my friend. This is where I had the wild dogs that time with the impala fetus, which is very cool. Okay, so we're on the road now. Let's see if any tracks have come out. Going to go down. Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to just keep going down this road. It's possible that he's come out of the drainage. Okay, no tracks coming out. We're going to have to put some work in. He might still be in the drainage there, but while we do that, let's go back over to Tristan and see how he's getting on looking for some lions.
Well, we're still busy trying to find these lions. They've cut off into the block towards Gari Cutline. Now, we went halfway up Gari Cutline and we didn't find anything. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a sign of them inside this block and that they're not too far. I mean, the tracks are looking like they are inside here. And so, you know, well, we found the tracks going southeast here. So I'm pretty sure they're not far. Like I say, I mean, I'm almost positive we're going to find them inside this block rather than on Gari Cutline. But Rex is going to go in there. His track is on foot, following the tracks for us, which is a huge help because it means that I don't actually have to be on foot. And because it's quite a big block, it will be much easier for us to kind of loop and things like that. And so Rex will check there, and then I'll come round and I'm going to check Gari Cutline. And between the two of us, we'll then sandwich kind of down and make sure that these lions haven't crossed too far without us kind of being able to find them. So it's a good way when you've got somebody else working with you. It definitely makes life a lot easier. The problem that we have at the moment is that there's the leopard tracks here that Herbie and the guys are wanting to follow up on, and I don't want to squash their tracks too much, so I'm going to have to do a bit of creative driving here in order for them to get the tracks that they need. Now, I can actually see the guys there. They come along. They're walking along like a band of brothers. So just telling them where to go. There we go. look at them. There's the intrepid bushwalk team that are busy moving along. Kirsty's going on her first walk ever. Can you believe it? All right, so let's carry on, though, because I want to try and see if we can get to Gari Katlan quite quickly. She's going on her first bushwalk. She's been a director here for almost 4 years and has never been on a live bushwalk. So she's going to go and see how things are going. Yes, and James says it looks very gangster today, indeed. But we're not stopping too long because we want them to be able to sort of track this leopard, and we want to be able to find the lions. So we're going to leave them to it. I'm now driving off the road so that they have the ability to find the tracks should they need to. It's going to be much easier for them if they do kind of see the tracks if I haven't driven all over them. But I'm just checking on this game path as we go. This is a game path. Exactly, creative driving, you're right, Emma. This game path here is always a good one to check for leopard. They like to use that and go down into the Mulwati system. And so just having a little look as well there, just to kind of give them a bit of a hand. But it's so much nicer now that there's actually a little bit of light that I can see. It was a bit tricky. Now we're going to try and do one wheel in the middle, one wheel on the side. That should also be able to help with us not actually squashing tracks for Herbie too much. I'm pretty sure we've squashed already, given that this is now the 3rd time I'm driving on this particular road. But you know what, hopefully he'll find, I trust Herbie's skill to be able to figure out where they went. Doesn't look like they carried on there, so I think they cut off down to Mulwati anyway. So kind of just keep an eye out on Gari Cutline just to make sure they don't come this way. But I'm pretty sure they've gone down to Mulwati for the male leopard, and that means that Herbie and James can follow those, and hopefully they'll get a bit of luck. Now we went, like I say, up Gari Cutline. The problem is the sort of angle of those tracks. So I believe a lot of you are very confused as to why there's still production people in Djuma, and they thought that they were all in Johannesburg. They mostly are in Johannesburg, but there's always one production member that is here at Djuma to wrangle us presenters in and to make sure we do some work that we're supposed to do. So all the kind of behind the scenes stuff, the VOs that need to be done, all that kind of stuff needs to be handled. And so exactly, there needs to be some semblance of control, and on top of that there needs to be somebody that has to do the morning meeting minutes, and us presenters cannot be trusted with such an important task, as we just can't get it right, and neither can the cam-ups. And so there has to be a production crew member here to be able to make sure that we just do not mess around too much and that we actually get some semblance of work done. So that's why there is always going to be one production member here at all times, and it will rotate through. So Kirsty's here for 2 weeks, and then Jerry comes, and then Emma, and then, Faith. They all kind of roll through between here and the Mara. So one in the Mara and one here at all times. Normally on 2 weeks. Hopefully it's the confusion from all of you as to what is actually going on with our production staff members. Also, we need to give them some semblance of sanity too, because spending a life in Johannesburg is not good for anyone's brain, and so one needs to escape every now and then and get into places like this to kind of sort things out. So it's going to be, it's always best when the production crew are around. It's they're a big element of our camp. These lions have not come out yet. I'm sure they're in this block not far from where we last saw the tracks. I'm 99.9% sure that they will find them inside there. So, like I say, the tracks should have come out by now already, and they haven't. And that means that I'm pretty sure they're just lying up, taking it fairly easy. The tracks were too fresh on the road for them. Expecting Rick to call me any minute and say that he's managed to kind of find where they are. We need to that's over there we go, Rick.
Right, well, we're doing our best to try and help Tristan find the male leopard. I'll show you his tracks after we've had a quick look at Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg, who are watching the sunrise together. There they are. Of course, let us not forget, not the original Mr. Wahlberg. He was tossed to the curb some time back. And the two of them are having espressos and croissant as they watch the sun come up. Wouldn't you like a croissant, Dave? Sometimes. You wouldn't like one now? I'd quite like one now.
It's too early.
Too early for a croissant. It's never too early for a croissant. Let's have a quick look at the track that we're following. I'm not sure how well we'll see it. Here's probably a better one. But Emma's just told me a lie. She said she'd be sending some over. Here is the track of the male leopard we're following. I'm just thinking if my taunch won't help a bit. Shall I shine my taunch on it, Dave? Mm-hmm. Wait, let me widen. How's that? Is that amazing? So that's the male leopard. Now, there are many people who'll tell you, oh yes, I can tell that that's Hosana or Tingana or Hukumuri or my best friend's dog. If they say it's my best friend's dog, that'd be definitely inaccurate because it's a cat track. It's a male leopard. I cannot tell you if this is Hosana or Tingana. I'm pretty sure it's not Hukumuri because he's, well, just not in this area. We know where he is at the moment. It's possible Hosana's come back and is moving away from the calls of Hukumuri. It's possible that Tingana has marked his territory in this area and has pressed on from here as well. So I don't know if this is Tingana or Hosana. It could be either. Anyway, we're going to continue to try and follow up and see if we don't get lucky. Of course, seeing Tingana on foot is not easy. He doesn't like to be around us too much. All right, let's go back to the wolf, who seems to have had some success in finding the hook.
Well, thank you, James. Well, we managed to find his tracks when we got out of the drainage there. And he's walked all the way and he's about to walk past Treehouse Dam. So, very, very interesting and awesome. And to be able to follow tracks, it's one of those things that takes a lot of practice to be able to find these animals. And when you lose them, as we did, if you can find tracks, well, that is the way forward. And I always get very excited when I do manage to find a leopard through its tracks, because it's probably the hardest animal to track. Now, obviously, we knew we were quite close behind him, so as I was looking on the ground driving, BK managed to spot him in the distance. So it does work as a two-man sort of thing. Obviously, sometimes out on walk with Rexon or Herbie, their eyes are on the ground and you see the animal in front. That's one of the important elements of, here we go, scent marking again. The important elements of tracking with a partner. Obviously, it's safer as well. But you're able to see, oh, he's going to roll in it. Oh, what you rolling in, boy? Suddenly he becomes a kitten, doesn't he? Suddenly he becomes a kitten. You're rolling in. There might be some dung on the grass there, or there might be a plant that he favors. I'm not quite sure. Once he gets up, I'll go and have a look at what it was that he was rolling in. They often will roll in certain things to mask their smell, because leopards do smell quite foul. Bless you. Oh, there's some dwarf sage here. It's probably my favorite smelling plant in the wilderness. I'll grab some as we go past. That's what he's rolling in. It's got a very sort of a Vicks-like smell to it. Oh, he spooked another scrub hair there. Okay, BK, I'm going to go. I think this is dwarf sage. Yes, it is. Oh, this is amazing, this plant. Don't worry, we're going to stay with our leopard first of all. Now I know where to come and get my dwarf sage fix. Dwarf sage fix. I'm just going to let Rexon know because he wants to see Hukumuri. Rex, come on to Treehouse, access to Shabamu as quick as you can. He is mobile in that direction right now from the dam. So Rexon wants to see Hukumuri. He bet a move because there's a very good chance he's going to go down the road here and out Shabamu, back out to where he spends a lot of his time in the west. So once we lose him, folks, I'll show you on the map where he's been and what he's done. I'll just let Rexon know quickly. Yeah, Rex is on the road from Treehouse Dam now, directly towards those pans at Shabamu. I'll show you on the map what area he's covered and where he's been moving to show you how he's sort of carving out a piece of sort of Tingana's territory. It was bound to happen, folks. It was bound to happen. It's taken Hukumuri a year or so to sort of integrate himself in here. Julie, I don't know how much he's been... Oopsie, I'm getting stuck here. Don't know how much he's been sawing, but we had him saw 3 times last night, which is the most I've had him saw, actually. The most I've had him saw. And we don't know... I think the tracks... I think Rexon or Herbie and James are saying that those tracks are of another male, which would obviously be Tingana. Tingana would have heard him, and he would have come in and said, "What are you doing? This is my spot." But as I said, the ability of these... Uh-oh, I've lost him. No, I haven't. The ability of these cats to call, the purpose of which is designed to obviously create that buffering zone so that they can keep away from each other rather than have a go every time they see each other. Okay, so now we've lined up perfectly for his face. Now have a look at those eyes, folks. Every single, and the little tongue just sticking out the front. Every presenter who's been here agrees that he's got this look about him, this thug look. And when he looks at you, it's a penetrating stare that chills the body. He's going to walk right past us now. Hello, boy. Right here. That is the look. That look he gives when he walks past us with our open door. That makes the heart stop. Sorry about that. He has gone behind the car, as you could probably tell. But he's walking directly towards the boundary. He gave me a little bit of a thuggish evil eye stare, which first time he did that, we were actually just up the way here. And he did that. And it doesn't matter how many times you see a leopard or a lion close up to the car, always there's something inside of your body that goes, this is not natural. It's not natural to have a leopard looking at you like that. It just, there's something about it that invokes sort of fear deep down inside. It's part of those natural things, you know, the what's the word? Leopards and lions have dominated humans by night for a very, very long time. And inside of ourselves, we know that. We know that. Michelle, that is such an interesting question. Why don't we put a Twitter poll out there? I don't know, Twitter polls, do we do 2 or 3, Emma? Because I don't want to give an answer and then everybody gets upset with me. Last year, we thought he was on his way out. But maybe we should do a Twitter poll. Okay, so Emma, do you have any suggestions on how to do the Twitter poll to make it work quite nicely? Possibly one, Tingana's on his way out now. Tingana's on his way out by the end of this year, or 6 months, yeah. Now, 6 months and a year. Should we say those 3? Okay, so yeah, let's do now, 1 year and then 2 years. Should we do that? Now, I think 6 months. Now, 6 months and a year. Everybody, send through your one-word tweet for the Twitter poll. Let's see what you all think Tingana's reign is remaining in the dukedom of Djuma. Okay, Rexon is joining us now. I'm just going to, I'm going to wait for him to move up. Morning, guys. Good, good. I'm just going to move back for them to get in a spot here. There we go. He's doing a phlegm and grimace, folks. Did you see that? He's sniffing some urine in the plant, and by lifting his mouth, his teeth, he bares his sort of his upper lip, and he shows a bit of a grimace, a bit of a stare, and then there we go. And inside, he is then allocating or sort of determining what is going on with that urine and what reproductive status that animal might be at. And well, then he scent marked and off he walked. Linda, you say Hukumuri says now. Well, last night when he was calling, he most certainly was saying now. But unfortunately, it seems as if his movements in to Djuma for now are going to be cut short. Well, while Rexon follows him, let me quickly show you on the map. Okay, so last night we found him. He came in over here. Hang on, where are we? Yes, we found him over here. And this is where he spent a lot of time. This is the area where he had the warthog kills a few times. We followed him all the way through, and then we left him over there last night. And then we found him come charging down this side this morning. And we followed him across here through this drainage, straight down across into this area here. Treehouse Dam, he came through there. And now this is where we are. So he's definitely cutting out the western side here, and this is where Tingana is spending most of his time, through to Chitwa, Torchwood, and up into Buffelshoek. And Hukumuri seems to be carving out this western side, which might allow Shadulu to move in. She's definitely in this side. She's spending a lot of time here with some cubs. She might move in due to the safety afforded by a male that has sired her cubs. And that could be very exciting, getting a new leopard in from the west with some cubs. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But while Rexon is with him, let's continue on. Maybe he will turn back and go all the way back into Djuma, but I doubt it. I've got a very strong feeling he's going to cross directly out now at that western junction with Gowrie Main and Shabamu. So most of you are saying initially, we haven't got the final results, but most of you are saying 1 year. So that's it's a very conservative sort of estimation. None of us want to write off the Duke just yet, do we? But when you do spend time with this guy, you do realize, and there's just a whole lot of guests there taking some Hukumuri selfies, of course. Why wouldn't you if you could? You've got to get pictures of the leopard with yourself. I know BK was getting some done yesterday. It's one of the things we do out here, a leopard in the background. Michelle, leopard dynamics, they do make you anxious. I know, I'm sorry about that. But one thing that is for certain is that Hukumuri, I don't think, is too much of a threat for Tlalamba now. The purpose of males killing cubs is to bring the female into estrus. We've already seen Tandi mating with Tingana. If she was in estrus, or if she was sort of around the sort of period and Hukumuri was interested, he'd probably be able to mate with her without having to kill a cub. Let's move forward again. She's at that age now where she could probably get by without Tandi's protection. Obviously, she's quite enjoying the food that Tandi is providing for her, but I think she would be okay against this guy. He definitely would probably try and mate with Tandi, but I don't think he would need to chase her cub off or kill Tlalamba to bring Tandi into estrus. So I think the princess is safe for now, and we don't have any other leopard cubs in the area that are of importance or that we really know of. I mean, Sibui is far west. Kuchava is also not far west, east. Kuchava is quite far east. And then we are pretty certain that he's the father of Shadulu's cubs, which means that they're secure underneath his reign. And the bigger the territory he gets, the more area those females will have to move in as well. And, well, who knows? We might get some Hukudulus moving in from the west. And wouldn't that be marvelous to spend time with a few more leopard cubs? I know the whole of last year, the first 4 months of last year, 5 months even, was spent exclusively with little Princess Tlalamba, who was unnamed for most of that time. Very, very special indeed. Some very fresh leopard tracks just over here. I wonder. Sorry, I'm being cheeky. So he's deliberately scent marking now. He's done 3 or 4 of these in the same sort of area. There's lots and lots of communication going on along this area. When I first came to Djuma last year, there we go. There's the phlegm and grimace I was talking about. He's accessing urine, sniffing the urine. That's then going into the Jacobson organ, and it's telling him all sorts of things. We can only postulate that Tingana's strong or Tingana's weak or Tingana or Tandi's in estrus or whatever it might be. I know that Tandi was seen in this area 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. So she might have scent marked, and well, that could lead Hukumori to get some interest. But it seems as if his never-ending westward movement is continuing, and we will continue to follow him. Isn't it special spending time with these cats? Well, while we continue on and try to get in front of Hukumori, hopefully he stays in Djuma, let's go over to James with some tracks.
Well, I'm not doing a great deal of tracking. Herbert is trying to do the tracking. Herbert is normally very successful at tracking, but we have lost the tracks. We've come down into the great Mati drainage system, which is, of course, the drainage system that flows out of the Vuyatela Dam. In fact, it doesn't. That's not actually true. This is part of the system that eventually becomes the Mati. We can't find any further tracks in here of the orange-breasted bushshrike. So that apparently is the orange-breasted bushshrike. I think we broke up slightly there. I'm not sure why. And it is in the tree next to you, David. I can actually see it hopping about there on your right-hand side. It's about, I'm going to say 2/3 of the way up on the left-hand side. Can you see it there? You can just see some movement. It is a false thorn tree. They are very secretive, David, so if you don't see it, don't feel that it is a slight on your camera skills. You got him. Well done. So you've got a really nice view there. I can't see what you can see, but apparently Emma says you can see the bright orange. Makes it look like a sunbird. They are gorgeous birds. All of the bushshrikes. The grey-headed bushshrike, the gorgeous bushshrike, the orange-breasted bushshrike, the bockmackery, olive bushshrike. Tom, you say, what a nice whistle. Yes, it does have a nice whistle, I must say. Now, the microphone that I have here is not particularly effective for picking up ambient sound, but I don't know if you can hear the cacophony of doves and franklins with the piccolo of the orange-breasted bushshrike sort of rising above it, a little bit like a piccolo or flute concerto. There's even a bit of tuba coming from I nearly said a great eagle owl. We don't have great eagle owls. A Varose eagle owl not far from here. Okay. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Purple, it was me whistling for the first time. This is me whistling. And now, of course, the orange-breasted bushshrike has stopped calling. That was me again, in case anyone was wondering. You've got another one there, David. You don't know what it is. It's a bird, is it? Here I come. I'll come and aid you. Fear not. David has found another bird, everybody. I can't see what it is. It's gone now, has it? What colour was it, David? Purple? Luminous pink? White with a bit of brown. How big was it? Oh, there we go. We're getting from Emma in the final control room in Johannesburg saying she thinks it was a chagra. Well, if it was white with a bit of brown on it, quite possibly it was a chagra. Well done, Emma. Can't hear one calling. Huh. My goodness. Paulie has spotted the bird, but I think it sounds like Steve's got something slightly more exciting than a...
Yes, well, folks, we're close to the boundary, and it looks like we've stumbled across a hyena den. How's this? There's Corky. Hello, Corky. She's chased him away. He's behind us now. We think that there's... Well, Rexon pulled in. There's a termite mound on the right, and puppies just disappeared. Just disappeared into the drainage there. Well, we're going to try and get back to Hukumuri now. This is a very easy place to find, which is very cool. And I don't know. Oh, there's Hukumuri. He's by the water. Hello, Corky. Sorry, have you moved dens? Yes, you have. Yes, you have. We'll come back and see you now. Hukumuri is about to cross to the west, so let's go and spend some more time with him. Sorry, Mama. You're doing a very good job. You chased away that interloper. Very good. Very good. Well, that's how it works, folks. Sometimes you are just lucky. Sometimes you have to work hard to find these things, and sometimes, well, sometimes they just materialize in front of us. Rexon was looking at me with a very quizzical look on his face there, a very excited one. And, oh, there he goes. Okay, so now he's going to be walking parallel, it seems, with our fire break. That's the direction he's moving. Those of you might remember we had Hukumuri here, or should I say Brent and Herbie found him here on a kudu kill last year. And that's when Brent came up to the car and was trying to offer me some kudu lung or liver. I can't remember. Can't remember, but it was quite disgusting. He thought it was quite funny, of course. Very good, Hukumuri. Thanks for leading us to a hyena den. And now Lauren has left. She's going to leave, and she's going to be absolutely gutted that we found the hyena den without her. Shame. Anyway. What a helpful cat. He is such a helpful cat. He's going to come out into the open. Now he's walking directly towards the fire break, which we're on at the moment. And he might walk directly parallel with it, or he might cross. It's a sort of southwesterly movement he's making right now. This road is a road that we find lots of activity on, this fire break road. We don't drive it often enough, to be honest. It's in the far southwestern corner of our property. But whenever I do drive it, I always find plenty of activity. And we actually drove on this last night to try and catch up with Hukumuri, and I noticed an enormous number of hyena tracks on this road, and I didn't think too much of it at the time. They're over there. How awesome is that? Okay, well, let's get around again. He's playing so nicely this morning, isn't he? So I will ask Rexon if it's an existing one or it's one we've seen before, if it's a new one, but he looked at me like he was completely puzzled when we saw it. So it's very likely one that no one's actually known about before. But I will find out for you, everybody. I hear, because Emma's obviously told Tristan, and he's on the radio going, confirm you found a hyena dead. So that is awesome. It's not one I know of. It's not one I know of. There's not a road in there at all. There's not any pathway or any sort of activity there, which means that it's been viewed before. But it's not far from the road, but it's in a very nondescript sort of place. So we never would have driven in there if it hadn't been for this young male leopard, or should I say adult leopard, moving in there for us. We never would have found it. Thanks, Hukumuri. You are a superstar. He's going to come walking through the feather-top Laura's grass. Beautiful. Have a look at those eyes, folks. There's something about him, isn't there? Everyone is overwhelmed. Well, that is how it works, folks. Anything could happen to you, our chap. Anything can happen at any time. He's scent marking again. So I was actually alluding to a story earlier when he started phlegming and grimacing. And what the story was is that when I first started here, on the junction here of the main road and Shabamu, where we've just come out, that's where... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really doing a bad job with my gears today. That's where I first found Tingana. First time I saw Tingana was walking in here, scent marking along this road. So it seems as if Hukumuri is claiming a patch that was definitely Tingana's. My earliest memories of this place are of Tingana being right over here. I found the Styx Pride, if you remember. I think it was my first actual drive, not my interview drive. It was just over here, and then we turned around and we found Tingana walking into Djuma, calling and doing his thing. And now Hukumuri seems to have carved that piece for himself. Now, leopard territory needs to be occupied. If it's not occupied through scent, it gets stolen. It's the way it works. You've got to stake a claim to your territory if you want to keep it. Otherwise, it will get stolen from you by an interloper. And that is how it works. You need to be vigilant. You need to constantly be redemarcating and reclaiming what is yours. It's not like property rights where you can buy land and it's yours forever. Out here, it's like the old medieval days. By conquest, right by conquest. I really wish I lived back in those days. I really do. It was a good time to, you know, honor knights, oopsie, trees, stumps, just trying to reposition so we can get a final view of him as the mosquitoes eat my legs. Oof. Here he comes. There's a dwarf mongoose shouting off on the right-hand side. Can you hear the dwarf mongooses? They're not very happy. Hello, boy. You are a magnificent specimen. You are magnificent. Now, he's walking at just a small pace. You'll be able to see, when we show you his tracks just now, that his front foot and his back foot are just overlapping slightly. He's not directly registering. So he's not on a serious mission. He's just on a slow meander as he moves through. Not in any real rush. Goes to scent mark again. Just doing everything we can to get back in front of him again. It's a nice area to do so. This is a big fire break. It's kept clear of trees because of the telephone wire or the electric wire there that connects most of the reserve, and then it's burnt regularly to prevent fires coming in from the south, because fire can be quite a thing out here if you're not prepared for it. So it makes for easy navigation. Whoopsie. Sorry, BK. Looks like we're going to do a little bit of a bump again. You're all enjoying the morning. Well, so am I. I am working quite hard, though, I must tell you. Constantly repositioning. Well, at least we're getting some airtime. Last night we were doing our rehearsal, and we spent an hour with him, following him through the thickets, trying to get these sort of shots, and we just couldn't really get in front of him often enough. Okay, so everybody says 67% of you believe Tingana will be here for another year. Oh, he's going to go in front of me. And 31 say 6 months. Yes, go north. That's where we want you to go. Go back into Djuma. So it seems like everybody's giving, or most of you are giving Tingana another year, which is a good thing. I mean, I think what's going to happen is his territory is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. He's not necessarily just going to give it up. It's just going to get smaller and smaller. That's going to take time. It's going to take time, and we're probably going to see pressure coming in from the north and pressure coming in from the east, from the likes of Quarantine, and from the north from the likes of Gajima, who the last few times they've interacted, Tingana and Gajima, Tingana's been on top. But that only works for so long. and until eventually the Duke's calling is not enough to secure his territory anymore, and he's going to actually have to physically confront some of these individuals, which might lead to his demise. But until that stage, he is still the Duke of Djuma and entitled to the respect that is due to a man of his stature. And such a beautiful man he is. Although the years are definitely taking their toll on him. And a lot of you are noticing how long his face is getting, and when his ears have gone from droopy to not so droopy again. Sort of a condition he's come out of, some disease he had last year. We still don't really know what it was. Have you finally posed for us on the termite mound, Hukumuri? We've been waiting for you. Oh, of course not. Of course not. Here he comes. Oh, he's going to sit. Oh, he's scent marking. Here he comes. Well, one thing I can tell you for certain, and I'm not looking forward to, folks, is that we are still collecting all sorts of samples. And yesterday, Tristan managed to get some of Tlalamba's scat because of the research. You can collect within, I think, 48 hours or something, the scat of a cat, and you can get DNA sort of information from it. And he had a poo just now. I'm going to wait until it at least cools off a little bit. But then we've got to go back and we've got to get it and put it in there. Oh, no. That's what we've got to do. And I've got a very, very weak stomach for those sort of things. So I'm going to see how BK manages. Because, he's never collected scat before. So, he's got to try sometime. Don't you, BK? Yeah? Today's BK's day. Okay, well, while BK and myself mentally prepared to go back and collect some leopard poo, let's go over to Tristan and see if he's got any sort of information about his tracking.
Well, we're frustrated at this stage. We've driven miles on these lion tracks. We've gone from Mvubu Road to Gari Cut Line to Buffelshoek boundary to Buffelshoek Dam, down Yala Road, across from Yala Road to Central Drakensberg, Drakensberg South, and now we are at pretty much Drakensberg, Mamba Junction, and we're still going south with these tracks. So these lions have walked all night long and have just kind of gone. I don't know what's motivated them to walk as much as this. The tracks are pretty good wherever we've gone, so it seems like they just kind of keep walking as we're going. Nothing here. The problem is we're in a bit of a dilemma because there's another leopard at Twin Dams that's just been spotted, and so part of me wants to head there just to see who it is and if it's Tingana, because the proximity to Hukumuri is so close there that it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they're actually going to kind of join together at some point. So it's why I want to check. These lines are now going west down Mamba Road. I think they have gone west down Mamba Road all the way. It might be worth actually just taking Mamba through all the way to Twin Dam side anyway. Looks like the lions are taking us to the leopard at this stage. So lots happening this morning. It's just crazy amounts of tracks all over the place. Do they still go here? Looks like it. And so we just kind of driving, and as we're driving, there's just another track. There's a track for a female leopard. Also at Philemon's Dip, there's the tracks for the male leopard that we're at, obviously Central, which I wouldn't be surprised is the leopard that's at Twin Dams. I know that. But let's just try and kind of have a look. I just want to double check that these lions are still walking on this road, because Taxi is trying to track the lions more than anything else, and so I don't want to throw him off too much, and also just want to give him an accurate update as to where they've actually gone. But it's a crazy kind of amount of sort of a journey that these lions have taken. I mean, it's a long way that they've walked, and I wouldn't be surprised that they're actually somewhere in Chitwa or Little Gari at this rate, given how far they've actually gone. All right, so they've cut off here, so I just need to tell Tax to check Leadwood Road. That's good. The tracks for these lions turned down Mamba, and then looks like they've gone south. Do you want to just quickly check Leadwood or Mamba Loop? It's probably a good place. Now, Emma's asking if Steve says if he wants to check Twin Dams. No, it's fine. I'm on my way there already, so he doesn't need to worry too much. He must just stay with Hukumuri, unless Hukumuri, of course, has crossed over and is no longer on our side. But we'll be at Twin Dams fairly soon. Oh, these lions have walked a lot. Now, James is saying that we must call in the Leopard. There's no radio comms on the Northern Channel. We have called in the Leopard, and it has been spoken about multiple times. So I don't know why Herbie's not picked it up on his game drive radio, but there is most definitely been called in a few times. So I'm getting all these messages from my various co-workers, but we've told them all of these things already. Oh, too much to follow up on in one day with not enough vehicles. Often happens like this. It's like it rains. Connie is saying, let's find Tingana. We're going to go, like I say, to Twin Dams quickly. The lion tracks have gone off southwards. I wouldn't be surprised they appear at Twin Dams too. It might be a party where everyone's invited to Twin Dams, which is not ideal for us because ultimately we want as many different animals in different places, because otherwise they all get kind of if they all meet up, they're all going to run and be close to the southern boundary. Place. If we can kind of get there. Yeah, Herbie, it was called in by one of the eastern stations that there was an Ingwe at Twin Dams. Just trying to get there. Trying to get there to getting on the channel. The trucks with our left, the track that we picked up is heading in this direction. So I'm pretty sure it's Tingana that's lying here. I would be very surprised if it's not. I mean, it might be that skittish male, but we'll know shortly. Let's get this right. That heel's still here. Lions can't be far either unless they've crossed into, like I say, into Little Gari, which is possible. But here the tracks are for this leopard walking straight down the road. So it looks like Tingana's tracks by the looks of things. There's a male leopard, put it that way, that's walking straight down on Twin Dams Road. So I would imagine if it's Tingy, he's probably sitting on the dam wall somewhere. I'm sure it is. But sure, I've driven this entire. I've driven this trying to follow for these animals. Now I see Rex is in front of me. So let's see how we go. Let's see. Get lucky here. In the meantime, though, my signal's dropping. So while I try to find this and send you back across to Steve.
Welcome back. We do apologize about Tristan's signal issues there. But BK has successfully managed to chamber around for us here. There we go. Hukumuri scat with looks like some Himalayan rock salt. Almost sounds like a aperitif. Okay, so through this, the scientists will be able to do all sorts of DNA tests and find out parentage and all sorts of connections with other leopards in the area. So doing our part for science. Thanks, BK, for braving it. I don't think I would have managed. But, folks, what we're going to do, Hukumuri has crossed to the south. So what we're going to do, yes, you know what we're going to do, don't you? We're going to go over there and see the hyenas. Are we excited? Yes? BK's excited. Should we go and see if we can find the little babies? I didn't see the babies. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to chat to Rexon about it. He was off to another sighting. But I'll find out if it is an existing hyena den. But it's not one I know of. My name is very close to the road, which is quite nice. Right next to a little watering hole here. You've really got some nice real estate here. Corky and the Djuma clan, really nice real estate. Just going to go through here, have a little look. And I think he saw the puppies go in. That's why he called it a den site. I didn't see anything, but I saw lots of fresh activity on one of the holes going in. And Corky coming straight through and chasing Hukumuri off is a sure sign that there are hyenas inside the hole. So let's go have a look. Here is the little hole in the ground. Not very exciting, a hole, but it's just over my shoulder here. That little hole there, you can see just on the left, you see all the fresh soil marks just on the left there, BK. See how the sand has been moved, disturbed, and there are hyena tracks there. So very good chance that the den has been moved to here. And I know that it had moved. I've been trying to find where it's moved to, because some of the people from the south said that they haven't seen it in Hoffman's or Little Gowrie anymore. And so I thought it was maybe towards the eastern side, southern eastern side of Djuma. That's where I found Tingana 2 weeks ago after finding a couple hyena. I think it was Ribbon, and I can't remember who the boy was. But we followed the hyena thinking it was a den in the area. But in fact, it was just Tingana with a kill. But here indeed, ladies and gentlemen, appears to be the new resting place for the Djuma clan. But if we're patient enough, we might get to see some of them. So we're going to probably spend a little while here, see if anybody pops their nose out. And I know everybody out there is very excited to find hyenas again, and where they might be spending their nights, or their days, should I say. Clubhouse, MGN, indeed it is. And what a marvelous termite mound that is as well. It is a really big one, and it seems that Djuma clan only selects the termite mounds that are of this ginormous sort of size. We see the hyena in the Mara all select different termites. I mean, it's a different species up there. They don't have the same mounds up there at all, just holes in the ground. But here we are with the Djuma, potentially the Djuma clan. We're just going to have to wait and see. It was definitely Corky that popped out there. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's got that very characteristic notch in the top of the ear. She's the easiest one for me to identify at a glance. So she is the matriarch of this clan, or used to be. I don't know if she still is. She was last time I've spent time with him. And so her coming in, charging, she came in from there and she chased Hukumuri that way. I think he'd spotted them because he suddenly started looking all sort of excited, and then Corky came running. And Carly, yes, Corky looked in good condition. I didn't see anything on her. She actually looked fatter than she did last time I saw her, so she's looking in really good condition. Very, very good. Well, don't forget, folks, we are live. We are interactive. We'd love to hear from you. Send through your questions to #SafariLive. And let's see if we can answer them for you. It is a beautiful morning out here. We've spent the whole morning with Hukumuri, which has been fun. And now he has gone south. And as he crossed the boundary, he called. So sadly, we weren't able to get that for you on camera. Thank you, Diane, for confirming it was Corky. She's the only one I will confidently name straight away because of her ear. The other hyena I'll confidently name straight away is Waffles of the North Clan because of her size and her collar. But I've now got the ID kits from Jamie. I'm going to really try and spend some time trying to identify these individuals. But it seems like Tristan's tracking has paid off this morning, although he might have found something he wasn't really looking for.
Well, as you can see, we've got Tingana, but he's not on our side. He's not at Twin Dams. He's actually south of the boundary. He's in kind of off Baboon Pan area. But it's definitely Tingy that is lying up in that thicket, and very, very difficult to kind of see him. What I'm hoping, though, is that he's going to come north, again, back towards Djuma. I doubt it, though. I mean, his tracks are the ones that come south all the way, and so I'm pretty sure his direction was into Little Gowrie, which is not ideal because it seems like all the animals are just wanting to go to the wrong directions and off the property rather than kind of coming onto it, which is not ideal. It's always better when we got things moving towards us rather than away from us. Anyway, he's sitting nicely now in the grass and just kind of taking it easy. He's facing north, that's the good thing. He's not exactly facing south at this stage, so hopefully he will come back our way. It's starting to warm up a little bit, and so that will hopefully mean that he's going to kind of stand up and find some semblance of shade, and that might hopefully be at one of these little mud wallows close by to Twin Dams. But you can see he's just kind of looking around, and so the proximity between him and Hukumuri at the moment is very, very close. It's not far at all in a straight line. So, Gremlin, you're asking who's the dominant male is on Londolozi and whether they would tolerate Hosanna. So the dominant males on Londolozi, Flatrock male, Anderson. Would they tolerate Hosanna? No, they probably wouldn't. So, you know, Hosanna's still got a way to go. It's like Tambe. He's going to be nomadic. If he has left Djuma, he's going to become nomadic for a while still. Still got growing to do before he's going to be able to challenge anybody for a territory. So, you know, at this stage, Hosanna is not big enough really to kind of go at it with any of the big boys. And places like Londolozi and the Sand River are prime real estate, and so there's very few males that are going to tolerate a young male coming in onto a river like that and be happy about the fact that they are around. So, you know, Hosanna's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to play his cards right and be aware of what he gets up to. Whether or not that means that he's going to get chased back this side, I'm not really sure. It depends on where Hukumuri is and whether or not Hosanna can get a gap to get back this side if he wanted to, because Hukumuri might be the one that kind of keeps him at bay in some respects. But we'll see. I mean, time will tell. Unfortunately, this is the life of a young male leopard. It's not as simple as what it is when you're a female leopard, and even then that's not easy. So, you know, they do become nomadic. They do have to go and cross all these other male territories in order to try and find one of their own. But Londolozi, I doubt any of those males will tolerate his presence for any length of time around any females, particularly if he scent marks and does what he was doing here. He's going to get himself into trouble quite quickly. So let's hope that he's learned some lessons from this side of the world and keeps himself nice and safe and stays out of trouble and out of the way of the big boys until he can kind of compete with them a little bit later in life. But at least we now know where Tingy is and that we were right that it was Tingana. I'm 99% sure it's the same tracks that we saw all the way up on Central. Male leopard moving from here all the way to there. Oh, I mean from there all the way to here. It had to kind of be him. There's very few other male leopards that are around in those areas. But the problem is like I say, he's not on our side, and so... And the fact that the tracks come from the north means I doubt that he's actually going to come back to Djuma during the course of today. So, Megan, you're asking why isn't he scent marking and alerts if Hukumuri is so close? Well, I mean, the thing is that Hukumuri's been quiet this morning. He hasn't been sawing at all. Remember that for him to be able to detect Hukumuri, he's going to need either a scent or he's going to have to hear him. And because Hukumuri's been quiet, Tingana hasn't really had to worry too much about him, and probably has no idea that Hukumuri is as close as he is. The good thing, though, is that Hukumuri is now kind of mobile, from what I understand, away from where Tingana is. He's kind of moving in a southwesterly direction, and so is heading more towards sort of Arethusa side than here, with or kind of coming more east towards Tingana. But it's interesting. I mean, I've seen Hukumuri right where we're sitting right now. In fact, multiple times he was in this area, and then from here went northwards all the way towards Cheetah Cut Line. But there we go. He's up and off he goes. So we're going to lose view of him, I'm pretty sure, quite quickly. If he decides to move in that direction that he's facing, unfortunately for us, we're not going to be able to follow him much longer. But he is a seriously big cat. And have we ever had a drive where we've had the two of them, both Hukumuri and Tingana, on at the same time? Or not the same time, but on the same morning on Juma? I don't think so. Maybe once when he was sick on Chitwa we had the two of them, but he looks as though, oh, there we go, bit of a scent mark, and off he goes into Little Gari. So that's not ideal for us at all. We're going to lose visual of him probably in the next few minutes, and so in the meantime, let's send you back across to James and see what they're going to be up to now that Tingana has crossed south.
Well, I'm not sure you can see a thought, but I could certainly give you a thought. Oh, sorry, David, I thought I saw a berg, but I didn't. I saw some dead leaves. I think this is fascinating, and in fact, we were tracking that male leopard, as you know, and Herbert heard a leopard calling way to the south, and we didn't know who it was, and clearly it was Tingana. So he is calling, although he hasn't done it live. He is calling, and he's certainly scent marking, so I think he's responding to Hukum. As you all know, Tingana is my favourite leopard, and I'd quite like him to show the young buck Hukumuri a thing or two, you know. Tell him to keep his distance until Tingana is ready to retire, which won't be too long from now, but let's hope that he stays another year or so. Just enough time for Horsana to come and take the area. That's what we want. Yes. Okay, so our plan is now we've diverted from those leopard tracks. The lions have also been found. We just don't have enough vehicles currently to get into all of the cat sightings that we have here at the moment. But the lions are flat, not far from here. So Tristan was definitely on the right track. We're now going to go up towards where Tlalamba was yesterday. There's a pan where she was yesterday with her kill, and so we're going to go up there and see if we aren't lucky, perhaps with Tlalamba tracks, or Tlalamba herself. Imagine we have 3 leopards. Let's quickly have a look at Trachyandra aspirata in the gorgeous morning light. There it is, David. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Yes, wonderful. Can't tell you much about it, other than apparently it is used for some sort of medicinal use. I'll see if I can find it for you. Of course, many of these medicinal uses that we make mention of, none of us have ever actually used. We've read about them. When in doubt, say that a decoction can be used for stomach complaints. And quite often, if it's a flower, the decoction can be used for various, well, not to put too fine a point on it, venereal diseases, apparently. But I'll have a look. I think there is one. I think it is something like venereal disease that is curable with Trachyandra aspirata. I wouldn't recommend it myself. Come on then. Let's carry on. Ravinda, you want the mother-in-law's tongue and its benefits. If I find one, I shall certainly show it to you. I'm not sure how many benefits it has. Here we have a netwing beetle. You see that, David? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it's doing. It might be laying eggies. Shall I hold the grass still? Is that much better, Dave?
Sort of.
I'm going to let it go. I don't think I'm doing a very good job. Beautiful beetle. Doesn't look like a beetle, it looks like a bug, but it is in fact a beetle. And there's some gorgeous light on it there. So that is a netwing beetle. There are lots of different species of netwing beetle. And if I'm not mistaken, it feeds on sap. But I could be mistaken. It's currently sitting on a spirobolus grass plant. You're going to get in there, Dave? Well done. Good man. Dave's going to get you a close-up of the netwing beetle. Aposomatic coloration most likely to warn off predators. Oh, a lot of you saying surprisingly colourful for a beetle. There are lots of exotically coloured beetles. The weevils, some of them come to mind. Of course, the jewel beetles, the fruit chaffers, they are all beautifully coloured. So a lot of highly colourful beetles exist in the world. Possibly not quite as many as the bugs. There are some very colourful bugs, including the rainbow shield bug, which is very magnificent. Alrighty, let's go back to Steve. I have no idea if he's still with Hukumuri or not, but he's moved away from the hyena den, so let's go and find out where he's going. That's all the dig.
Welcome back, everybody. We spent some time there at the den site and no one came out. No one came to say hello after Corky looked at us earlier. We couldn't even see her. I think she's moved off. But we've just found some female leopard tracks. Sorry, Tristan's talking to me. Sorry, no, just go again, please. I think he's telling me about my leopard tracks. Okay, Kobe, thanks very much. Okay, so Taxon also saw tracks further up here on Philemon's going east. So let's go and have a look, shall we? It seems like it might be a very nice sort of leopard morning. Don't you think? Tingana and then Hukumuri. Who could this be? This is most likely Tundi, but then I don't know. I will tell you it's a female leopard. I will not tell you who. Ow! There are some biting insects around. James says lots of colourful insects around. There's also lots of these little guys who like to suck blood. Namely some mosquitoes and some flies, which are not my favourite insects in the world. They do serve a purpose, though. Excuse me. So at least we know where that den site is now, and we can go back and visit. But I think the cubs, they saw Hukumuri, and they are underneath the ground just sort of trembling a little bit, because I think the encounter Corky had with the lion is still very fresh in their mind. Just going to go back there and show you a very nice track there. I think I just saw a very nice female leopard track. Obviously, it's nice to tell you about them, but it's even nicer to show you. No, there's porcupines and hyena. Up and down, up and down. On leopard track is not there. But on that fire break there, I found hyena tracks before, and I've been trying or meaning to try and follow up on them, and well, there we go. Hukumuri, you beauty. You have taken us to what appears to be the current location of the Djuma Den. I'm not going to get too excited about it, because you know how these things go. They might actually be at the stage where they're about to leave it and move to a new den. You never know. But probably for today at least, they will be there. But I think the cubs are still cowering in their den. Cowering underground. But as I said, Corky was looking in fine condition, I must say. I didn't get a look at her back or her bottom, but she didn't seem to have any wound that I saw at the time. But then I was a little bit more focused on trying to keep up with Hukumuri. On we go, and we'll see if we can follow these tracks. Philemon's Dip is further up there. Treehouse Dam, where we were earlier, is that way. What a wonderful day we've had so far. These are the tracks of big female hyena running that way, possibly from Corky, going back down to her den, because she materialized out of nowhere. Jamie, you want to know who'd win in a fight, Hukumuri or Corky? Well, leopards are incredibly strong for their size and very powerful, very, very powerful, but they have no luck against hyenas' jaws. Hyenas will break their legs, break anything the hyena bites, so the leopard will break. So the leopard will actually veer away from it. If a fight does actually happen to occur, the leopard will probably avoid it completely. For example, Corky survived a mauling from a big male lion. She survived that, which means they're very tough animals. And male lion pulled her over, tumbled her, attacked her, no broken bones. So a leopard to maul a hyena is going to be a really, really big ask. Definitely male leopards, I feel, develop a little bit of a reputation, and hyenas generally leave them alone They like see them, okay, I'm not going to push you around. Tingana has definitely got that. Hukumuri, I'm not too sure. It seems like he realized he was in the wrong there. Normally in any stand of Hukumuri, he'd probably just look at the hyenas unless there's food. He'd probably then move off. But in that situation, clearly he'd noticed that the cubs were there, and he realized, oh, hang on, Mama is going to be a little bit more protective now than she would at any other time. Giraffe girl and snack, you reckon? Definitely Corky. Well, there we go. There's still hyena tracks. You reckon Corky? Well, if they happen to lay down their gloves and properly have a go for it, I reckon Corky would beat Hukumuri. But if it comes to power, well, there's nothing more powerful than a male leopard. But invariably, as I was discussing earlier, the reason why leopards call is to announce themselves so that they don't fight other males. And while they don't want to fight with a hyena, they don't necessarily want to fight with it because it just could lead to injury. And a leopard that gets bitten on the back leg, the front leg, will make it unable to climb a tree. And well, then that leopard is an absolute goner. No chance of surviving if you can't climb a tree if you're a leopard. No chance at all. Lions are always on the prowl, and a lion would catch a leopard that is not able to climb up a tree. And, well, sadly, as that might seem, that would be the end of Hukumuri. But that's the way it works. These animals know each other. They avoid each other. They don't try and catch each other out. Obviously, hyenas, when there's food, they come in and they try to steal it very quickly. Ivy, I'm sorry for bringing up those images of the lion with Corky, but it is real. It did happen. And no doubt it has caused some concern for all of you out there, but for the clan themselves. But they're all alive still. Corky has lived to breathe and to live another day, and her cubs are safe for now. We don't know. I didn't count any of them there. But that is the benefit of having these dens, having these holes in the ground, so that they can get away from predators such as Hukumuri and the evoker males, which is what's very important for cubs and wild dog pups as well. Without the security of these dens, they would not enjoy the same success that they would normally. Obviously, we see leopard and lion cubs all the time that don't enjoy the same success as hyena, and that is obviously due to the den sites that they choose. Okay, well, we're coming to Philemon's Dip now, where we crossed with Hukumuri before, and where we had his tracks, and we're going to see if I can find where those female leopard tracks go, and then take it from there. It could be an interesting morning of tracking. But here, this is Philemon's Dip. I'm going to spend a few moments around here trying to see if I can find these tracks. If I can't, I'll have to ask Texan where he possibly found them. Well, there we go. Let's go down here. I think I heard someone say they went east. So if they went east, then they went towards the Milwaukee drainage, which really is Tandi's modus operandi. She loves, this is an area that she goes and zooms all the way back that side. I doubt it's from, there's a squirrel shouting. Two squirrels. Let's just go have a little look, shall we? Let's go have a little look. I don't really value squirrels' judgment too much these days, but every now and again, they have been successful in finding animals for us. But who knows? I mean, I've been with Hukumuri like we were this morning, and he walked straight past the squirrel, and the squirrel didn't do anything. Ah, there we go. That's why they're alarm calling. Thanks, BK. It looks like either a snake eagle or a bateleur. I wonder if you out there, folks, are able to tell me. You have got a 50% chance of getting this right. I've given you two options. We've got a snake eagle, or we have got a juvenile bateleur eagle. Now, look closely at it. You can see it's got a yellow eye, no feathers on the legs. Both of them don't have feathers on the legs. Oh, a little bit of a shaky shake, and quite a bulgy head. Hashtag SafariLive, is this a brown snake eagle, or is this a juvenile bateleur? I wonder how many of you people know your birds. And if you don't know, that is all good. We will help you learn. Enjoying sitting in a tree. Megan, thank you for your quick response. Megan says she has no clue. Well, being honest, you learn. I'll show you exactly what the difference between the two is. I'm sure many of you out there will know the difference, but it is the two. They are two birds that you do have the potential to confuse together. And you see when it lifted its wings there, it was very white underneath the wings, very pale underneath the wings. I don't know if you can hear the squirrels shouting off to the side. They don't enjoy seeing this individual here at all. Okay, so very nice. My bird app also confirms that the two of them are very similar in design. So it is one of those birds that you can quite easily mistake for each other. But I will show you now exactly why. Mary, you say it's a snake eagle because the tail is quite long. That is a very good suggestion you have there. I wonder if anyone else can agree with Mary. The bird's having a bit of difficulty staying in the tree. There's no wind today, so he's just toppling a little bit forward, a little bit top-heavy with his very broad head. Anyone else agree with Mary that it's a snake eagle because of the head? For the long tail? Dino Man also says definitely a brown snake eagle. Now there's lots of people coming with very conclusive answers. Does anyone think it's a young Bateleur eagle? Seemingly nobody. Okay, well everybody, I will show you exactly why it is a brown snake eagle. Mary is 100% correct that it has got a long tail. Rosemary, unfortunately, it is not a Bateleur, although they are quite similar in design and structure. So there we go. Always jumped. Now, underneath the wings are very pale, a very characteristic feature of snake eagles. You see how white it is under the wings there? Not as pale as, or a different sort of paleness to that of the Bateleur, but the fact that the tail is quite long. The Bateleur eagle's wings actually extend further than the tail. Can you see the tail is low and the wings are popping out the side? But the yellow eye and the face is something very important to look at. And I'm going to show you now on my phone on the screen here. BK, here we go. So these are two very easily confused birds. And one thing that is very important to look at is the bulginess of the brown snake eagle's head. Sorry about my head there. Okay, so the brown snake eagle's got quite a bulgy head and they've got a yellow eye. Can you see that? Look at the yellow eye and look on the face how it lacks any sort of facial skin on the face there. Okay, whereas have a look at the Bateleur eagle on the right-hand side. This is the juvenile. It's got a dark eye and it's almost got like a greenish sort of facial skin, a bluish green facial skin. Both of them lack feathers on the legs and the wings on the Bateleur here extend further back than the tail. So it is definitely a brown snake eagle, but nice to go through these stages to be able to understand exactly what the difference is. Quite often you'll notice that the snake eagle actually sits very upright and they've got a very bulgy round head. And the Bateleur has just got a normal sort of eagle's shaped head. It takes a bit of practice, but from a distance, a brown snake eagle, when they are postured in a certain way, very, very easy to identify. Well, from predators of the sky that are giving squirrels a very hard time, Tristan has finally managed to track down his lions.
Indeed, so we managed to find the lions eventually with a waterbuck kill that they are finishing up at the moment. So the Nkuhuma Pride is going to be fat and well fed for the rest of the day. They've eaten a massive waterbuck male and they've pretty much cleaned up the entire thing. So this thing must have been killed in the early hours of this morning. And the pride is kind of decimated what's left. Here comes Amber, as you can see, with a very, very full belly. Hello, girl. You are very full. teats are starting to swell a little bit. I wonder how many cubs she's got inside there. Definitely think she's pregnant. We've been talking about it. We've got another lion that's right in front of us at the moment. Don't know what it is about the cars lately and all the cats kind of investigating the cars. I don't know why they keep kind of walking around them in circles. But anyway, she's going off to go and say hello to Amber Eyes. And there's the rest of them kind of just feeding. There's some hyenas also that are lurking in the background too. You can see them kind of coming in from the edges, and of course, you know, with the amount of noise that the lions have made by feeding, this will cause the hyenas to kind of come in and investigate. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see some of the hyenas sort of trying their luck around the fringes. There seems to be one or two legs and bits of bone that is hanging around, and so I'm sure they'll try and kind of get in and grab those in between the lines. But it's amazing how a fully grown waterbuck can be decimated like this by lions in such a short space of time. I mean, if you think that this carcass was killed at some point in the early hours of this morning, they've eaten all of that in just a few short hours. And that's what happens when you've got 11 lions on, well, that are hungry and need to be fed. And I'm glad they've got a meal. It's always good when these guys get a meal. It certainly makes them kind of look a lot healthier and a lot bigger when they've eaten. But there we go. They're going to have a lot of that today. Eyes closed, panting, in the hope that they're going to somehow get a little bit kind of respite from the full kind of nature of what they're going to be, and also in terms of the amount of kind of heat that's going to come towards them is not going to be very pleasant. So, Giraffe Girl, I have no idea who Nana is. I just don't really know why we've named a lion Nana. I'm not sure who Nana is, to be honest with you. If you are referring to the oldest lioness, she is... Yes, she's here. I saw her just now. So now the one with the injured hip is here, the one with the injured eye is here. So like I said, I don't know who Nana is or who's been calling one of these lions Nana. I certainly don't know of any of the lions here called Nana. So I'm not sure where that comes from. But anyway, the oldest lioness is here, if it is her, or the one with a blind eye is also here. They're all here. Pretty much, they spread out massively at the moment. There's lions from Mumba Loop all the way through to Leadwood, and they're all kind of just in little drips and drabs, and you kind of, as you drive along through the bush here, you just get line after line after line, and eventually kind of led us towards where the kill is, which is good. But nice to kind of have them on a kill. It's been a long time since we've seen the Nkumas feeding. You can hear a contact calling. Who are you speaking to? Just little soft contact calls at this stage. We'll see if maybe brings others out or closer. But now we know why they didn't make it to Twin Dams, is because they got intercepted on the way there by grabbing themselves a waterbuck, which is very cool. I'm glad for them. Like I said, it's obviously a shame for the waterbuck, but it's very nice that the lions have eaten. The Nkumas often look as though they could do with the meal. It's difficult out here in the summer months. You know, we don't have huge amounts of buffalo around, and so when they get a really nice meal like a big waterbuck, that's always very good for them. You can see this one has heard other contact calls, and so it's going to go back to where the rest of the pride is. The rest of the pride is mostly behind us. It's just these guys that were close by and kind of feeding on the carcass. Now, I'm not sure which one is actually eating at the moment. I think it's one of the sub-adults that's busy having a bit of a feed, because it's the ridge-nosed lioness that is off to the left of this one that's feeding. And then obviously there's that one on the kind of carcass, but I'm not sure who that is at the moment. Anyway, we'll spend some time with Nkumas. Hopefully they'll all come together and we'll be able to see all of them and do a head count. In the meantime, though, off you go to James.
Yes, some bush CSI. Here we have got a bird that died. Now, initially I thought it was a green-winged pytilia, but it is not a green-winged pytilia on account of the fact that there's not much green on it. Also, it's 85 times the size. This was most likely a white-backed vulture that was killed by a leopard as it tried to steal the leopard's food. And it was then eaten. Now, I can't imagine a meal less appetizing than a white-backed vulture. We've all seen what they eat and what they're prepared to eat. Anyway, it's quite an interesting sort of, I guess, look at their feathers and their wings. This is one wing, and these are the primary flight feathers that were obviously much better aligned than they are currently. And you can see where they come out of the arm. Now, all of the bones in the arm, if you like, or the wing of the bird, are quite similar to mammal ones. And so there is a radius and an ulna, and there is also a shoulder, a scapula, and the scapula, I think, would have been up here somewhere, and I'm pretty sure that this wing, I don't want to touch it, I'm pretty sure that it would have done something like that. And I don't know where the rest of the bird went, but that's almost certainly the shoulder joint there. Let's turn it over. And you can see there a much sort of, I suppose, smoother leading edge. And there is the shoulder joint. I think it's the shoulder joint, I'm pretty sure. Unless it's the elbow joint. It might be the elbow joint. I'm not very good at bird anatomy. It is the elbow. In fact, oh, is it? See, there are two bones here. I think that's the radius and the ulna. So I think that's the forearm there, which would have made this something else, but I'm not sure what exactly. I'm finding it quite difficult to sort of picture it. I suppose it would have been angled like this, sort of something like that. It doesn't really look like a chicken bone, does it, David? It doesn't look like the average chicken bone, but I think it would have looked something like that. I'm just trying to remember back to the last time I saw a picture of a bird's wing in skeletal form. Yeah, I think that's radius and ulna. That's right. So the shoulder actually would have been over here. Spara, you say this is quite interesting but pretty gross. Yeah, it is pretty gross. Thankfully it doesn't smell very much. What's even more gross is that the leopard ate the rest of this bird. Now, I mean, a vulture is a scavenger. It's all very well eating a carnivore once or twice, but this thing is a scavenger. It eats nothing but rotting, diseased meat. And a leopard is able to digest that even, which is pretty disgusting. So, white-backed vulture. Doesn't look like a particularly big one. I think it was probably killed fairly young. What we're doing is we're moving from the eastern side now towards the west, back towards the pan where Tlalamba was, and we're hoping to see if we can find her. We haven't had any luck so far. Aidan, do leopards chew on the bones? Well, they eat bones. They don't chew on them like hyenas chew on them, but they will try and break the smaller bones and swallow them. It didn't bother with these bones, and I suspect because they had feathers all over them, and perhaps by then the leopard had decided that they're pretty disgusting things to eat, vulture. But Aidan, yes, they will eat bones, not as thick as hyenas are able to eat, but they will eat bones for sure. Alrighty, shall we move on from here, David? I feel like we've milked the sighting, so while we go on and see if we can carry on finding Tlalamba, let's go back to the aquabuck that has died at the claws of the lions.
Well, feasting, I'm not so sure. There's not really much to feast on. There's just a bit of gnawing on bone at this stage, and most of the Djuma clan male hyenas are also in attendance. So we saw Fika, and pretty sure Saka will be here. It looks like there's at least, from what we can see, 5 or 6 different hyenas that are kind of milling about, and they keep getting chased by the lions. It's quite funny to watch. They kind of slowly edge closer and closer, and then when they get too close, then one of the lions will go sort of storming off and chase them, and they scatter and then slowly start coming back again. So they're just playing the patience game, and they'll get it right eventually. I mean, there's more than enough bones and scraps that they will eventually get. I'm pretty sure you'll find that these lions will eventually get tired of it. As it's heating up now, their tummies are full of meat, they'll try and they kind of move off into some shade and go and rest. And you know, it's the one advantage of being a big pride. It's not ideal because of food requirements, but the advantage that you do have is when you do have food, much easier to be able to protect it. And they can do that obviously by having sheer numbers. You know, 11 lions, it's going to take a lot of hyenas to push 11 lions off a kill. You'd have to have the sort of Mara-sized clans of 50, 60, 70 lions hyenas to be able to push off the likes of these guys, especially if there were males in attendance. If you throw the evoker males into this, hyenas have got probably not very much chance at all. But what is interesting with the evoker males, kind of talking about them, is they really haven't staked any sort of claim over the Nkuhumas yet. They still kind of have, you know, kind of mated, but not really spend much time with the Nkuhumas at all. You know, they compared to the Talamatis, where the males are with the Talamati females almost daily at the moment now that they've got new cubs. They kind of spending most of their time there. Seb, let's just reposition here so we can actually see how much is left of that face of the waterbuck. So we're going to try and just kind of go forward. You can see just in front of me here is where it was actually killed. That's the sort of rumen patch in front. That's where all the flies are, so that's the stomach content of that waterbuck. And I was saying there's a few legs, so underneath the tree you'll see a few of the legs that are in the background as well. So there's the legs and where the waterbuck was actually killed. Right, let's just reposition slightly. It would have been quite amazing to have found this when it was still fresh. It would have been a big fight over this, I reckon. Everybody would have been jostling for position, trying to kind of figure out who's going to be the one to get the best sort of cuts of meat. And it would have been quite entertaining to kind of see how they would have gone about it. But you can see there's very, very little left. It just amazes me how quickly lions can clean up a carcass like this. I mean, a waterbuck male is not a small animal. It's a serious amount of meat on a waterbuck male, but yet they are able to kind of figure it out and find a way to kind of destroy it into just basically a head and spine that's left. Now that one is done eating and has decided off it goes. I'm going to go find somewhere else to go and lie down. You're getting hot now, I would imagine. And soon they're going to finish up, and then the hyenas will be able to come in and kind of grab what they need. And like I said, it's mostly the males that are here at the moment. I haven't seen any big female hyenas. Obviously, we know Corky is whereabouts, but I'm not sure where Pretty or if June is around or any of the others that hang around this side. But she's going to be, I think, the last one. Oh, there we go. We're going to carry. No, you've got it stuck. Okay, so just... Not used to walking with horns, no, you're right, Seb. Very big horns at that, too. So there she goes with her prize. Off she walks now. If you're a bit kind of sensitive to heads being carried off by lions, then probably was a good time to kind of look away. Now, Seb, let's just see if the hyenas will come in now, because there's one hyena that's just on my right-hand side that's eyeing out these legs with a happy face, and I'm pretty sure it's going to try and sneak in here and grab one of these legs and run off. So I can't see who it is just yet, a bit obscured by leaves and various other things, but slowly kind of coming in, and I'm pretty sure is going to end up trying to quickly grab a leg and run. It's basically trying to see, can I see any lions close by? Is there an opportunity to try get in? And then we get decided, no, wait, there's still lions too close for comfort. I'm not going to move in just yet, so just kind of making sure before they do it. You can see how wary they are, and how they know that hyenas know that lions are something that they need to be very careful of. And yes, I'm a pep talk to build up the courage to get closer. But slowly but surely, more and more of them arriving. There's another youngster young male that's kind of come out, moving towards us. And so we'll see if we're going to get a whole group of them. There's the third one that's arriving. So we've got that one, and there's one in the background as well that's coming this way. So it seems like there's quite a number of hyenas in the area, which is going to be interesting to see if they're brave enough to actually grab a little leg and go. But there's the three of them. Of course, they would be behind a bush. There's literally the only bush. If they just move slightly to the left, then we're going to have a perfect view. Now, Imogen, you say they're so crafty. Well, they need to be crafty. I mean, they're dealing with the life or death situation, which sounds funny, but they get too close to a lioness, and she grabs them. They could potentially inflict a lot of damage. I mean, you saw with the male lions, or male lion when he grabbed Corky, just how kind of lions hate hyenas. And so being brash and brave and running in and, you know, getting yourself too close to lions is a very, very, very dangerous thing to do. And so the hyenas are very crafty in that they will sit and watch, and they'll look, and they'll make sure that they don't get themselves too close and in striking range of lions. And so you can see very alert as to what's going on, making sure, and then slowly they'll edge another step forward until such time as they can grab what they need and get out of there unscathed. Gary, you say this is what it looks like when there's donuts in a conference room. And yes, indeed. This is what it looks like at meal times in the Wild Earth crew every time. And we always joke that we're like hyenas, because literally food gets put out and there's just all these waiting eyes and mouths staring at the table until all the food is out, and then it doesn't last very long after that. Exactly. When there's hot banana bread that is made by the chefs, that generally incites mass rioting around the breakfast table, but just breakfast in general. You know, it gets to the point where it's so kind of, people get so hungry, particularly on drone days. Oh, so we've got spiderweb, let's get rid of that. On drone days when we're up at 3 in the morning, by the time breakfast is served around 8ish, people are ravenous, particularly Sebastian. Seb, you get quite hungry, don't you?
I've been up for 5 hours.
Exactly, there we go. So Seb's one of our eaters. Marcel eats a lot as well, one of our tech guys. He's not shy of a good meal. And then I'm just trying to think. Dave, yes, Dave also enjoys his food. Me, no, I'm an angel, Sebastian.
Have a couple of tomatoes and
Exactly, salad.
salad, yeah.
Just salad, that's all I go for. I don't really go for everything else. I'm just there's an ear.
Really?
Just next to me is an ear. I don't think you'll see it, unfortunately. So if you're a bit squeamish, there's some bones, and you can see that's been eaten. Now the ear is kind of back and to the right of that. Let me try and get into a position where you can see it, Seb. So if you don't like to see macabre things, then turn away. But for those of you who want to see what a waterbuck ear looks like when it's been torn off of a waterbuck's head, there you should have it now, Seb. So there it is there. Yeah. So you can just see the white tuft of fur, and that's all that remains of said ear of waterbuck, I'm afraid. But the hyenas will chomp that down in about 2 seconds. They're not going to be too stressed about eating that. In fact, they'll be fairly happy to kind of go through it and kind of feed off it and finish it. Anyway, we're going to just go and try and catch up with the rest of the pride. The rest of the pride has moved off kind of towards... There we go. Emma, you see, we've crossed things off the list for you. You've now seen a waterbuck ear. Well done. So I'm going to try and just get to where the rest of the pride is. Like I say, they're all lying off kind of more towards the western side. And so while we do that, let's send you across to Steve.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We've just been following up on leopard tracks. We found female leopard tracks for a little while, and then they moved towards the drainage. And, well, I haven't managed to find them again, but we just had some... Sorry, I got something in my eye. We just had some birds alarm calling. You can hear it now. It's a Birchill starling. It's shouting. Just trying to see what exactly it is that they're looking at. Can't see anything. It might be a mongoose. It might be an owl. That loud is often something we can use to attract birds, because they get attracted to alarm calls because they come as a group to try and chase away any predators that might be around. Hello, Jenny. You want to know what the difference between a lion and leopard track is? Well, easiest way for me to tell you is to show you, I suppose. If I know where my tracking book is. I think it's in my bag. Hang on a second. It is basically the size, really, There we go. What page is lion on? There we go. Okay, so here's a lion track. And both cats, lion, leopard, cheetah, all the cats really have got a very similar sort of track with the 4 toes in the front, and the back pad has got 3 lobes at the back. Even a small normal domestic cat has got the same track. The only thing that really changes is the size. So you can see here on the top, that's a young male. It's about 12.5 centimeters, 13 centimeters. And then the male, big male, is much bigger, 15 centimeters, whereas an adult female, 12 centimeters. Now, that might not sound like a huge difference between those 3, but when we go to a leopard, oh, that's an elephant. That's not going to help. We go to a leopard track. The biggest a leopard track will possibly be is 10. Maybe if the substrate's quite sandy, it might look a little bit bigger than 10, but that's why it's important to measure. And here you can see the difference. The male at the bottom is 10 centimeters. You can see how wide the toes are over here. They actually splay out wider than the back pad. Whereas the female's tracks are much more elegant. They do splay out a little bit, but not as much as the male, and they don't get bigger than 8 to 9 centimeters. So a centimeter doesn't sound like a lot, but out here it is enormous. And then when we look at a cheetah track, I think the next one's cheetah. Cheetah is slightly bigger than leopard, and it almost looks like their track has been put into a vice grip and sort of squashed. You can see how squashed it is there, but these 2 ridges at the bottom here are very, very noticeable in a cheetah track. Very noticeable, and that adds grip. And then the other thing you look for in the cheetah track is these claw marks, which are up here. Cheetahs don't have protractile claws, so they use their claws for digging into the sand for helping them run. And if we go to the next cat, which is on the next page, see, we got a caracal here, and we got a serval over here. And both of them look very similar to what we've seen before. Nat Cole, you want to know why you were wondering why we don't see claw marks? Well, it's because the cats, most cats, have got protractile claws. See, even here, look here, the little small spotted cat and the African wild cats. And the only thing that's changing here is the size, 3.8, 2.3 centimeters. So it's just mini versions of the rest. So sometimes you might see claw marks in a lion or leopard track when they are running, when they are at full speed running, when they're getting ready to launch and to grab something. So essentially what happens is that your protractile claws with cats is they need the claws because when the foot extends, when they put pressure on it or power, they do that and the claws come out. But on a relaxed position, the claws are in. And the reason the claws come out is when they jump on an animal, they do that and the claws come out and they can catch it and then pull it down to the ground. The cheetah, and we looked at the tracks there, all the cats have got the 4 toes because they're actually walking on their fingernails. Okay, and then their thumb is much further up on the wrist, which is actually the dew claw. And the dew claw is actually what the cheetah uses for hooking the animal. The rest of the claws are very, very blunt, just like dogs, used for digging in the ground for running. But the dew claw on a cheetah and all cats is very, very sharp to enable them to catch and to grab animals. Well, it seems like James has handed over the reins to Collie, and he's on bushwalk. He's going to say good morning.
Good morning again. I've taken over from Uncle James. My name is Ollie, and who's behind the camera is still Davisito. That's David. So we are on a mission to following Tlalamba and Thandi. So now we have Tlalamba's tracks in the mud. So let's take a look here. We have these tracks over here and over here. Can you see that, David? She was here, I think, last night, because these tracks, they're still wet, and this place is confusing because, you know, in the pens it's so difficult to tell whether the track is old or fresh. So what we are looking at right now, this is a small female track. You can see if it was a male track, it was going to be big. It was going to be like here. And the difference between the leopard track and the lion track is the size. If the lion was here, this place was going to be messy. This track lion track, I can say it's 4 times bigger than this track. It was going to be like this big, because remember, lion track is about 14 to 15 centimeters, and this one is a female. Female goes about 8 centimeters, and then the males, male leopards, their tracks, they can be like 10.2 to 10.5 centimeters. So now I'm relying on Inhebi to follow this leopard, and what's so interesting is this. I saw a tortoise, but it walked to the thickets there. You can see this is a tortoise track. How they walk is like this. They walk like this. They leave this pattern because they have 4 legs, and then they can't and they won't step on each other's foot track. They won't register. That's why they walk like that. That guy just went there. Let's take a look whether we'll find that tortoise. I can say it, but I don't want to disturb it. Here, the tortoise here. You can see the tortoise here. Those tracks were fresh because you can see it's from that pen. Still muddy. Nice one. So it's going through the thicket area because it needs to take cover there. So, talking about this tortoise going in there, I wanted to talk about grasses this morning while we are following these 2 beautiful cats. Grass is different things to different people. A crop farmer will tell you that grass is a weed. A livestock farmer will tell you that grass is food for his livestock. And you don't need to ask the cattle what grasses means to them. A child will tell you that grass is something that one plays on. So in my experience, it's so difficult to shortly describe grasses. So they play a vital role in the bush because, most animals rely on them. Here I will tell you about grasses this morning because they act as a cover, they act as food, they act to combat soil erosion, from insects. For example, we have the fungus growing termites. They take the grasses to the mound as food source. Then going to the small birds, they feed on grasses. We have the seed eaters, and going to the bigger birds like francolins. The francolins, they use the grasses cover and they lay eggs in there. Going to the birds of prey, they rely on grasses, more especially the secretary bird. It feeds on snakes. So snakes, they love being in the grasses. So while I'm telling you about grasses, I will tell you more about them. So for now, let's go to Tristan with something interesting.
Well, you see we're on the road, and that's because we're trying to find the rest of the pride. They've all walked off now, and we can't find where they've gone. They left the kill, and we went back to where they all were when we drove in, and there's no sign of them. So then I went and checked Mamba Loop's little water point in case they went there for water. Nothing there. Now I'm just on Ledwood Road just to check the mud wallow of Ledwood, just to see if they haven't gone for water on that side. There was one lioness that was chomping away, and the hyenas got a few legs and kind of did their thing, and they have been having a little kind of tiff with one another briefly, and then it all kind of separated. But I'm thinking that the lions should be somewhere over here. Maybe what's happened is they just found themselves some really nice shade and just flopped down under the shade, and we just missed them all together. It's very, very possible. But I just want to make sure that they haven't gone for water before we kind of go back to where that last lioness was. I suppose following her would be the easiest if we don't come right here. But you can hear the hyenas are right here fighting with one another. So if we struggle, we'll just go in there. But where are the lions now? Where's that mud wallow? The mud wallow is here somewhere. It's not far from where we are now. There's hyena. Dory, no, I don't think so. I mean, they must be here somewhere close. There's a hyena that's feeding on a bone. So I think all of these hyenas have managed to grab themselves something, and now they're all having a good little nosh on what they've got. I don't know where these lions have gone. It's ridiculous. They should be close. I would have thought they would have stayed. Okay. Well, let's take a little turn in here and see. Maybe we find them on this side, because we checked the other side, nothing. And so now I want to check this side and see if they may be on this side. So we've got that hyena that we can look at if we really struggle. Now, Wendy is... Joy, you say you also wish you had seen that kill? I know it's a tricky one. I mean, in Djuma we very seldom actually see the kills because, unfortunately, it's so thick that you often miss things. But it would have been nice to have gotten here just afterwards. I always think it's better to find it when the animal's dead already and just watch the kind of feeding behavior more than the actual killing of an animal. So, I always find it kind of a bit tricky, but it would have been interesting to have watched. Okay, Wendy, stop singing. We've got a branch that's caught under our tire, so Wendy's singing a little bit. But there we go. There's a leg that's being chomped down rather quick. I think it's a leg. Is it a leg? It looks leggy. Like, yes, it's a leg. There's a hoof, and this hyena is going to be very happy. This is a good meal for our hyena. I'm sure it's thrilled that it's managed to grab this and run and actually kind of find itself in a little open clearing. And you can see how it's brought it to where it's quite open, so it doesn't get surprised by these lions in case they kind of came running in, and it can have a really good feed. I always laugh when hyenas eat bones like this. Look at how they kind of widen their legs to get a serious power base to be able to kind of exert its maximum force to be able to break down that bone. You can actually hear it when they crunch on it. Honestly, I have no idea where the lions went. They must be there somewhere. It's amazing the precision of these hyenas. How they able to kind of surgically break these legs apart. It's pretty amazing to see the power in their jaws as they do it. You say what a dainty use of the paw. Yes, I think so. Just holding it down while you kind of make sure that you can leverage it and break little kind of pieces off. So very clever in the way that they use their paws to be able to just pin it down and then sort of leverage and like I say, use that strong neck and shoulder area to break pieces off. And that bone eventually will be broken down. It's going to take a while, but eventually they'll be able to kind of snap it and twist the joint off completely. No, I still haven't quite gotten it right just yet. Trying. There's a bit of grass. It's a little salad with the meat order for the morning. Seb, does that look good for breakfast?
Delicious.
Delicious indeed. slap that on the table for the crew this morning. That will go down a treat. Right, we're going to try and see if we can find the rest of the pride and see where the lions are. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you across to a bushwalker who is apparently looking at all the small things.
We have a hyena sighting. We saw a lot of hyena tracks moving around this block. But no luck yet to find or to see any hyena or leopards. So while we were walking through the bushes here, we saw this beautiful camouflaged mantis. And the great uncle saw this mantis. Big up to you. Oh, habit. Oh, sorry about that. It's heavy. Good luck, Heavy. You're the best. So in the Southern Africa, there's about 27 species of mantis. Flower mantis. And this is a flower mantis. You can see its camouflage is on another level. And the females sometimes are wingless. That can be a bit confusing because you can't tell between the male and the female. So as I was talking about grasses, you can see through the grasses there's a lot happening, from insects to birds to antelopes. So I'm sure even when you're watching now, it's so difficult to spot this flower mantis because it's well camouflaged. And I think it's feeding nectar. Yes, it looks very cool because you can see it's camouflaging with the surrounding here. And the prey and the predator will take time to spot, or it will even pass this mantis here. Because you need to eat a lot of carrots, or you need to go and check your eyes, go to a doctor, so you can get your eyes fixed to see this. This is magic. So while I was telling you about grasses, we have this grass called stink grass or stinking grass. That grass, Ndebele people, I can't say they hate it, but they don't like the grass because they think it attracts lightning. But what I found out from Uncle Steve, the Vov, is that stinking grass, it's highly flammable because it has high oil content. So that's why they think it attracts lightning. I'll tell you about it if I found it around here, because it's so difficult to get or to find different grasses because there's a lot of different grass species. So let's leave this guy hunting. Oh, okay there. Let me tell you the different parts of the grass. Sorry about that. So let me tell you about grasses. Let me tell you about are you getting a nice picture there? So we have in the grass, what makes grass? We start here. We have this flower-like part here, which is called an inflorescent. And in this inflorescent, we can see this small seeds sometimes. You can sometimes see the flowers. And the small things you see over here that makes an inflorescence called spikelets. Going down, you can see there's this thing called a pentacle, but it's covered by a leaf sheath right here. I will show you. I call it the neck of the yes. Here is it. Oh, sorry about that. You see this part over here, but let me get a nice example. This is a nice example that you see to this part from here to here. It's called a pentacle. I call it the neck of the grass. And when you go down, you'll find these things like these. You do it like this, yeah, and put it down like this. And you see this part over here, this one? It's called a node. And the node from here to here, from the node to another node, this part there, we call it the internode. And coming from here, this thing over here that's hanging, I call it the leaf of the grass. It's called a leaf blade. And then coming, in this part from here, from the leaf blade to here to the node, is called the leaf sheath. That's what I call the jacket of the grass, because it's covering the neck, which is called the pentacle of the grass. And between this joint of the leaf sheath and the leaf node, it's called a margin. And it's here, this part. I'm talking about this part over here. We can see we have hair here. This is called the margin of hair. But sometimes you won't find hairs in this part. You find like a solid structure which is called a margin. So that margin can grow longer, and if it's longer than this hair, it is called a ligule. And sometimes you will find hair around this grass, around this part here, which is called a hairy margin, or margins with hairs. So going down, we find these are the roots. You can see these are the roots. And then let's say, for instance, this is a substrate. You will get the roots that goes underneath the ground, and then the grass will start growing here. This part over here is so fragile. I call it a fragile root, and it's also known as a rhizome. And then you find the very same thing, but it grows on top of the surface, and then it will make another grass here. This thing is called a stolon, and it's more harder than the rhizome. So, talking about these grasses, let's go to Steve and see what he has for you.
Well, thanks, Holly. Always interesting to look at the grass as well. We were talking about tracks before, and I'm pretty sure these are the same tracks Tristan was following, or someone was following, to find the Unkuhumas. Let's take a seat. Oh! I did some running yesterday. My legs are a bit sore. Okay, so here, this knife is 10 centimeters. Can you see the track? There's the back of the track there, and there's the front of the track there. So there's at least 2 centimeters in front of the knife. So you should not confuse this for a leopard. Otherwise, it's the world's biggest ever recorded leopard in history. The track's much bigger. So this is a female, and also there's not just one. There's a number of lions that have walked here. So very unlikely you're ever going to find more than one leopard walking together. And if you do, it's a mating pair. So it's a female and a male, or it's a female walking with cubs. And the cubs' tracks are going to be very, very small. So that's another thing you need to pay attention to. 6 or 7, impossible that it's a leopard. So, but always go with size. That's one of the things that so many people get confused about. And if you find a track and you want to take a photo for later, put down some form of reference. Anything that you have, a matchbook or a book or anything that you know the size. Some people use lighters. Steph Knights like to use his other knife as well. So you've got a reference for when you look in your book later or you show someone. Because if you do that and you don't have any size reference, the photo is very difficult to understand when you show someone what the size is. It's very, very hard. Some tracks are just easy to identify. But the difference between a genet and a civet track, really hard unless you know the size. But when you see the size, it's impossible to confuse the two. So that's something I always recommend when you're doing tracking, is just have a little look, think outside the box, count them, where they're going, the toes, the track itself, and through that means you'll be able to identify exactly what you're looking for. Well, this is what I actually wanted to talk about earlier, but Hukumuri was stealing the show. It's my favorite smelling plant in the whole wide world. It's got a little bit wilted from before. This is called dwarf sage, and it has got the most amazing smell in the world. And if you take some of the leaves and you break them, I know I've done this before. Many of you have seen me do this before. And you crush them together and you breathe. It gives you a little bit of a high as well. It's a really nice mood enhancer. I used to do it with my students when we were training, and the students would get a little bit sort of, a little bit lazy in their chairs. I'd make them all stand up and have a big breath, and then suddenly you feel like you could conquer the world. I was also telling BK that whenever you're in a sighting with lions that kill a buffalo or giraffe, and there's lots of very, very smelly smells around, you can take a couple of these little leaves and shove them up your nose, and then you will be okay from the smell. Well, I heard that there was a whole lot of storks and things here yesterday, and here we have got some yellow-billed storks as well as some spoonbills in the water. But before we look at them, let's go down to Tristan, who's got his lions having a drink.
Well, in a turn of events that can only be described as I don't know what, is that the lions have all just decided to walk off, and they're now in Little Gari, exactly where we had Tingana this morning. So why they've gotten up and walked this far, water was much closer to them than this, but they've decided they wanted to come all the way here, and so it looks like they're going to go south into Little Gari as well, which will be highly infuriating in many ways, because everything this morning just seems to be going away rather than actually staying in this area. And I don't think they're going to go far from here. I think they're going to find shade and they're going to flop down, and they're going to be tantalizingly close, but not really close enough. So it's a bit on the frustrating side. But anyway, at least we had a semi-decent view of most of them. Now there's one lioness that's still all the way back at the kill, and then the rest are here, and we've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that I've counted so far, so that's 9 in total. Well, there probably is more. It's amazing how well they actually camouflage in this sort of green area. Once they get behind this bit of greenery, it's very, very tricky to actually see them. So I would imagine all 11 are here, and we say 11 because the Mangane male, I suppose we should really include him. He walks around with them all the time now and seems to be kind of a fully fledged member of the pride. If you look at that picture there, those two bums, one is the Mangane male and the other one is the oldest female, and so the two of them are side by side, and there doesn't seem to be any aggressive nature at all. Oh, these lions are just walking further south. You would think when you find them on a kill that you wouldn't have to worry about them moving off into Little Gari, but there they go. They're going to go and lie down in the shade there, and I think that's, unfortunately for us, where they're going to head off to, and we're probably not going to get too much more of a view of them, which is not ideal. It's not ideal for our TV show this afternoon, is it? We have to kind of put in the effort this morning to find all these animals, and then for them all just to kind of disappear. But maybe they'll return this afternoon. Maybe it'll be one of those moments where you lose kind of hope in the morning, and in the afternoon everything turns and comes back our side. Maybe they'll come towards Twin Dams and in kind of, surprise us. But at this stage it's not looking very good, that's for sure. Here comes the Mangane male. He's walking towards us. He's the only one that's showing us any sort of intent coming our way. Right, from one predator to another one that we hardly ever see, and it is not a mammal, with Steve.
Well, we thought we nearly drove over a pole in the road, a stick, and it was a giant black mamba that has just disappeared now into the thickets here. What a magnificent. He was about 2.5 meters in length. They can get up to 3 meters. That was really, really cool. BK, how are you feeling after that? BK's feeling excited. I'm just trying to scan to see where he is. The mambas are incredible in the way that they'll lie across the road, often sunbathing themselves, and they have the ability to really lift an enormous part of their body completely off the road. And when we first stopped, I called Emma quickly for a link, and then he just lifted himself and just disappeared into the thickets there. And well, I'm not going in there, that's for sure. Oh, that was very cool. I haven't seen a black mamba in ages. Often you see sticks like can you see that stick in the road there, BK? It looks like a root. You see that just crossing the road? That's what it looks like if you just frame that quickly. That's kind of what a black mamba looks like. And then you get a bit closer and then you realize it is a snake. Sometimes it just looks like a root or a stick. And then you just go slowly and then you realize, hey. I remember when I was training back in the day, one of the trainees with me was driving and my instructor was sitting on the front. And the trainee was driving and he was looking left and right. And a black mamba did exactly what it did now. It was in the road. And the trainer saw it and he was like, stop, stop. And the trainee hadn't seen the instructor and he was looking, he was looking. The instructor ended up jumping over and ended up in the seat here. Because they have the ability to rear themselves up, and a lot of people get quite scared. They think that the mamba's actually going to rear up and go into your car window. They're not going to do that, but it's one of those mindset things. Everyone's afraid of a black mamba. They've got a very, very powerful neurotoxic venom that has the potential to stop your breathing in 45 minutes. So everyone is very afraid. The black mambas, Joy, are not black. They're sort of like a darkish color, but inside their mouth is black. Inside their gums, that whole mouth area is black. And when they're annoyed, they will actually rear and they will show you that mouth. And it is almost like a black void of death. They got a very potent venom. But essentially, after 45 minutes, you stop breathing. You do have the potential to survive it. You just have someone who needs to keep your lungs open and help you breathing so that you don't suffocate, because that's what kills you, is the lack of oxygen. But anyway, let's go back over to Ollie and the Bushwalk team, who's going to show us some spiders. Well, I do apologize about the technical issues being experienced by the Bushwalk team. We have moved on from our black mamba. And I heard some reports of some elephants coming in to Djuma from the west. Sorry, from the east. I'm getting my wests and easts all over the place today. So we're going to just drive down Drakensberg Road. We've just come from Buffelshoek Dam. I wouldn't mind seeing a breeding herd of elephant this morning. They were coming in a little bit further south from where we are now, so we're going to just meander down this road that the lions walk down. They all walk down this road. It's a very popular road for the lions to walk up. I remember seeing them on the drone, following lions hunting on the drone on this road as they split off one by one. They lost each other that day, and we found them all with the drone, which is very special. During the TV show last year, this is Drakensberg, a road that runs sort of parallel with our eastern boundary. An area that Thandi really, really enjoys. Tlalamba has spent a lot of time just behind us here around Gwaripan. Not sure where she is now. The Bushwalk team is trying to make some head or tail of her tracks. But talking about the lions and all of their number of tracks heading straight down the road, straight down to Mr. Tristan himself.
Well, we are still with the lions, and they, as you can see, are all starting to have a really good nap. Everybody has decided to kind of take it easy, and we're not surprised at all. I'm pretty sure that they are going to basically have a nice little sort of nap in the shade, given that it's getting very warm all of a sudden. That's probably the plan. And there goes the oldest lioness, looking in good condition. She's looking super healthy again. Now she's all filled out and got a nice tummy, so I'm glad she was part of the pride. But it definitely doesn't look like the entire pride is here. At this stage, I can only kind of count 8 of them in this area. And so I don't know if maybe the other 3 are still behind us at the kill sites. We know we left one lioness there chewing on the head with the hyenas, and she hasn't arrived here yet. And so maybe the other 3 are that side. What we did see, which is quite interesting, is that I was saying that that male is kind of integrated into the pride, and that he was drinking right next to the eldest lioness with no aggression or anything like that. But that male made the fatal error of going and lying right next to a pregnant Amber Eyes, and she was not impressed at all. She lashed out at the poor fella and gave him a serious hiding, and then walked off and went and lay down. So that's where the 2 boys are, by the looks of things, lying on that side. And so as soon as they kind of get chased, they went and lay there, and all the girls came on to the other side. So you'll find that they've had a bit of a kind of tiff, and she's obviously not very happy with life with a full belly, hot, pregnant, not in the mood for marauding males from another pride, by the looks of things. Anyway, unfortunately, now they've gone south. There's going to be 10 vehicles that are going to be here. And so, you know, there's not 10 vehicles, but there's 3 vehicles from the southern side. So we're going to have to move on and give them a bit of a space. Now, Lisa, you say it must be nice to be on top of the food chain. Indeed, when your belly looks like that, it's always a good day. But just remember that these guys have a hard life as well. They have a life where they unfortunately kind of go days without food, and we've seen the Nkumas often quite skinny. So nice when you kind of every now and then get a food item. And also Amber Eyes being the kind of more boyish female within the group can dominate all of the sort of sub-adult males as well in many respects. But like I said, there's going to be vehicles that are going to arrive now, so we're going to make space so that we're not causing a blockage within the sighting. Also, I don't think we're going to get too much more out of these guys anyway, so we're going to leave them there. You can see there's a number of vehicles that have arrived, and so we're going to carry on. Seb, why are you chasing everything? Are you sure? You didn't do anything. Are you sure? You slept the whole night? Then you followed my lead. So you're saying it's my fault? Somebody's. It's destiny. Well, destiny is a... Right, now apparently our signal is not very good, so I'm going to just stop right here, and I'm going to send you to Steve.
Well, sorry about Tristan's signal there, folks. It's that time of year where everything's green and you could just be in the wrong place. Just trying to see if we can find those elephant. Kind of we're headed into Djuma from this side over here. Been following the tracks all the way down. We got something. And go-away birds just inside this marula tree here. Oh, there we go. I think that's a Wahlberg's eagle. That's inside the tree up ahead. That's what the go-away bird was shouting at. Looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. It's hard to see without seeing his face. There's a brown raptor. Let's move a bit closer, shall we? See if we can get a better look. Oh, first gear is really not happy with me today. Quack, quack. There it goes. Wahlberg's eagle. So now the area that Tristan's in with the lions, anyway, the area that they moved through and caught that waterbuck, it's a male waterbuck, I believe, because there were horns. Now, many times, some of you have probably been on the show with me when I've had Tingana walking down this way, and he looks at that big waterbuck. I hope it's not the same waterbuck we've seen many times down here, because he's been around. He's a vigilant old fellow, but not that vigilant then if he got caught this evening or this morning by the lions. So that dispels anyone's myth, anyone's thoughts that lions do not eat waterbuck. They do readily eat them. Everyone talks about the smell and the oil on their fur or on their skin that makes them distasteful, or they have that so that they repel the lions. No, it doesn't help. Lions eat anything. Lions eat 2-week-old rotten meat, so they don't have a problem with a little bit of a musky sort of gland secretion off of a waterbuck skin. Obviously, they probably have preference for food, but lions aren't very picky. If they saw a kudu and a waterbuck, they'd eat both of them. But they'd probably choose a kudu over a waterbuck. But then, I don't know, I've never sat down a pride of lions and asked them exactly. Filling in questionnaires with lions is difficult. I told you, they've only got the 4 nails that they use, the 4 fingers. So it's difficult for them to write down their answers on the questionnaire. It's very challenging getting lions to fill those things out. Hosanna as well. Very difficult to get our leopards to write down these answers as well. Well, those elephants have vanished. Maybe the information I was given wasn't 100% correct. I'm not sure. I'll just go out the side onto... Oh, there's a grey hornbill. There we go. Let's have a look at our grey hornbill up here first, because we do enjoy seeing the grey hornbills. African grey hornbill. There he sits. Beautiful. One of the whistling hornbills. Sounds something like that. And just off to the left is a second... Oh, I think that's a red-billed off to the left. Very nice. They're sitting out on the branch now, busy grooming themselves. Yeah, there's a red-billed off to the left and a grey on the right. So the differences between the two, when we're doing birding, folks, you can clearly see by the shape of the beak it is a hornbill. And, well, one has got a red bill and the other one has got a grey. So for the distribution, be very easy to identify who they are. Other parts of South Africa, the hornbills are quite similar in colour, but have a look at the distribution so as you get the right one. Well, it seems as if Holly is back online. Let's go back over to him for some interesting information on grass.
We still don't have any luck for Tlandi and Tlalamba, but their tracks are still in the block, with Hebi thinking that they are still in the block. But you know, the leopards can easily camouflage, because we didn't see any track going out. So while I was walking, and I've picked up this grass, not knowing that there's this insect here. This insect is a weevil, but I don't know which species of weevil. See, it's sitting on this grass, which is called a sawtooth love grass. It's well camouflaged. In this grass you can see it's like a tooth and like a saw at the same time. So what this thing doing here, I really don't know, because I don't know where is it. What is it feeding on? This thing is lovely. Lavender is saying this thing is lovely. It is lovely, hey? So, telling you about grasses, remember that grasses are one of the first plants to be cultivated as food. They are high in energy value. And we also use grasses as shelter. Also use grasses when we go to an initiation school. I love that topic. Before you go to an initiation school, you have to spend a month without
Right, well, apparently the guys have got a few technical issues, and so you're back with us at the moment. And, well, hopefully you don't mind. Anyway, we kind of driven north along Weaver's Nest. We saw the tracks for a female leopard that Steve had earlier, which I'd imagine must be Tundi, that's been moving around the side. I can't imagine it would be anybody else. I suppose, though, it could be, you never know. Maybe one of the other females has walked through here, but I doubt it. I would imagine this would be for Tundi. But I'm not sure where they went. I couldn't get hold of Steve on the radio, so I'm not quite sure where his last track was, but also we've run out of time a little bit to go and track her down, so we'll try maybe this afternoon, see if we can find where she went. But I walked all the way up Weaver's Nest, which is quite interesting, and then it looks like turned east from Philomon's dip side, and so maybe had gone up towards where Tlalamba is, and maybe that's why the guys have struggled to find Tlalamba. Maybe that's the reason, is that, you know, they're up on that side. Right. Yes, well, good morning in many respects, but frustrating in others. I mean, the lack of sighting of the mamba, which I'm sure Steve was super excited about. It would have been nice to get that on camera. And then obviously all the animals kind of going off, but at least we got to see a lot of different animals. And in 7, I was just saying, we saw a lot of tracks today. So we see tracks for Tandi, we've seen tracks for Hukumuri, tracks for Tingana, tracks for the Inkelmund. So lots of kind of tracking work, and obviously busy night on Djuma. Unfortunately, we've all headed in the wrong directions, but that's okay. This afternoon, maybe things change and they all come back. You never know. Sometimes when it feels like there's no kind of animals around and that they've all gone, then they do turn back up and they kind of come around, and so I'm sure we'll get lucky. Now, little Tlalamba, I'm sure, is still somewhere there if Tandi didn't fetch her. And so we'll check for her this afternoon, and maybe Tandi will make an appearance too, and Tingy will decide to come back from his little Gowrie jaunt, particularly if the lions start to make a bit of noise later in the evening. That's the kind of hope that we have. Whether that's going to happen, I'm not quite sure, but one can live in a dream world. Now, I believe a lot of you are saying thank you for a lovely morning. Our pleasure. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Steve was on fire this morning, more so than anybody else, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a productive morning on Djuma, that's for sure. But it is that time, unfortunately, where we need to start saying goodbye to all of you guys and saying that we'll see you this afternoon. Hopefully you'll join us this afternoon for our show and for the TV show. But from all of us, it's been a real pleasure, and we'll see you all this afternoon on the Sunset Safari.